bleachers in the rain. We've shed a million tears and drank as many old-style beers out at the game. Let's go, Cubby, Son Ranto.
Michael Cotton.
Son Ranto.
Michael Cotton.
Son Ranto and the lovable Lucy.
Mucho Scali.
Son Ranto.
Michael.
Son Ranto.
Cotton.
Son Ranto and the lovable Lucy.
Michael Cotton.
Son Ranto.
Mucho Scali.
Hello and welcome to the Son Ranto Ranter Roundtable. I'm here with my buddy Michael Cotton. This is the Son Ranto Show.
Battling through those COVID lungs.
Yeah,
I honestly didn't think I could get through it.
You almost, in fact, Michael, you're actually dead right now, and you're coming back to life just to do this show. Unfortunately, this is your afterlife. I'm very sorry to tell you. So
I must be in hell if the 2023 Cubs are my afterlife.
Unfortunately, they are. So we've got a star-studded show ready for you. As always, the Son Ranto Show is brought to you by our 113 Patreon supporters, and we're going to give away a lot of Patreon prizes tonight. A little extra stuff. So now this is the regular prize that we're going to give away tonight, which is this Matt Kammerer art, this Wilson Contreras over the Venezuela flag piece of art. But also, I was at the Hit the Buds opening day events with Sarah Sanchez. Got to actually bat at it along with a bunch of my other friends. Well, I picked up a couple of these suckers. They are not for sale on this is only from the Cubs. Joe from Obvious only gave these to the Cubs. I'm giving away 2 of these shirts tonight to Patreon supporters and from the Wheel of Names. So
you need to be a part of the Patreon. You get shit that other people can't get. No other show has been around as long as the Son Ranto Show, starting our 11th season. This one goes to 11. And, and we do cool things like this. Nobody else does this. So jump on. Give us some money. We need it.
I'm going to say that I'm going to give away one right now just to get the show started. We're giving away an Obvious shirt. Opening day is a holiday shirt. So I'm going to share my screen here, and we will pick the first winner of the night. We'll give 2 more winners from the Patreon prize with we got the Wilson Contreras art piece and one more opening day as a holiday shirt. But let me share my screen here, and we're going to pick a winner right now. If you want to get in on those other 2 contests, you got to subscribe. You can do it right now and get added to this Wheel of Names. Here we go. Let's give it a spin and give away something to get this show started. Bum, bum, ba-da-da-da-dun-dun,
we can't see it, Danny.
Oh, you can't?
We just have to take your word for who it is that won.
It says you can. Molly Vogt. You really can't see that? No.
None of us can see it.
Oh, well, there it is. Unfortunately.
I think it's Molly. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say Molly Voigt.
Okay.
Or
Vogt.
Voigt or Vogt.
She spelled her name wrong, unfortunately. So congratulations, Molly. You'll either get I got 2 sizes. I got a large, I got an extra large. So you get one of those. Congratulations. And also, if you want to get in on this, there's 2 more prizes to do. The other prize we got is the #Chance postcard in the chat right now. You get a message of love and doom sent to you on the back of this postcard if you win tonight, and you get to win a prize at the end of the year. You're entered to win that. And that's pretty much all the contests we got going tonight. That's a lot, but and this show, not only is it brought to you by our 113 Patreon supporters, we have a new sponsor tonight. It is a Patreon supporter named Blake Beard, and you can reach him at Twitter at The Blake Beard, TheBlakeBeard. And the reason he's sponsoring the show at an advertising level is because he wants you to buy his season tickets to the Cubs game. They're in row 111. No,
Nice.
section 111, row 15, under the cover, on the aisle, and 5% of all ticket sales that Blake makes gets kicked back to the Son Ranto Show, he said, and he will also match comparable ticket prices from other websites. So if you want some of Blake Beard's awesome tickets, those are box seats, by the way, at the Blake Beard on Twitter. Contact him, tell him the Son Ranto Show sent you, buy his tickets, and that price match guarantee is incredible. Like, nobody's going to give you that.
Right.
When you can just go to StubHub and be like, hey, it's $80 here. I only want to pay 80, not your stupid face value of 150. And Blake's got to honor it because he said he would. So at the Blake Beard. So let's get the show started. Yeah, Blake has some good tickets, according to Corey. He must have sat in them. I want to bring on a guest that we had on the show last year, and that is a friend of the show. She came on last year to talk about the Baltimore Orioles, who she's a super fan of. And she gave us all this advice about what to do in Baltimore, all the great restaurants, the different museums you could go to, where to sit. Just a plethora of knowledge about who the Orioles were and what the Cubs were facing with that juggernaut of a Baltimore team last year.
I was going to say we needed all those tips because all the Cubs fans felt terrible after that series because the Orioles whooped the crap out of the Cubs.
Yeah, they swept us. And so anyway, she's going through some tough times right now. So what I want to do is bring her on the show and also share a link in which you can help out right now. So I'm just going to let her tell her story. Without further ado, here's Heather Linington Noble. Welcome to the Son Ranto Show once again. How are you, first of all?
Alive now.
So I don't know how much I knew. You've been very public about this, but you've been diagnosed with breast cancer, and it's just horrible news that you got. And, we just want to give you all our support, emotionally and also financially. So I just dropped a link in the chat, which has a bunch of different links on that page to how you can help out. There's a Team Heather Facebook page.
Yeah.
There's an Amazon wish list, which you told me that somebody from the Ranters sent you something.
Yes, it was lovely.
There's a meal train. I suppose that's more for people that are in your area, which is in the Baltimore area. There's Zelle, there's a free funder, there's a PayPal, there's a Cash App, just all sorts of ways you can help out. You can join the conversation on Discord, and there's just links to everything that's going on right now. So I know you don't really want to talk about all this, but because it's a terrible thing that's going on with you. And I just want to let you know that we all love you and we want to support you, even though you're an Orioles fan. but
and if you want to tell us about the Orioles, we promise to listen for 3 minutes.
3 minutes. But I do have to ask, Orioles, juggernaut of a team last year, totally outperformed. They had them for 62 wins. You ended up with 20 more than that or something of
21. It was 83. Yeah.
So you end up over 500 for the first time in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
What are you looking like this year? And are they going to be able to compete in the same way they did last year?
So no team that has won 30 games more than they did the season before has ever actually made it to that same level the next season. So it's statistically, theoretically improbable that they will win 83 games again, just historically. But I like to be optimistic, and I feel like our winning 83 games last season wasn't the luck that a lot of people think it was, and that we've got Adley all season, we have Gunnar all season. While we didn't get a big splashy free agent starter or two, like I know fans and myself wanted them to, we definitely improved our starting pitching over last season and hopefully our bullpen. I don't even know how much of our lineup is completely set. No, it has to have been, but they didn't set it until today.
Another thing the Orioles have going for them this year that they did not last year is that everybody plays everybody. So they will have less
Yeah.
games against that AL East. And last year, I believe they were something like 12 or 13 games above 500 against the rest of the league.
Yes, they played very well against the non-AL East teams, and people keep saying, but they're also going to have to play the good teams outside of their division. But they also played well against the good teams that weren't in the AL East. Um,
See,
so that's something.
as a fan of a team in a terrible division, you know, you got to be jealous of the NL Central because honestly, you'd be winning that thing every year right now.
Oh, yeah.
I
Both the
mean,
NL Central and the AL Central, very jealous of. That,
yeah. So let
uh,
me ask you about Brandon Hyde. He's the ex Cubs bench coach,
mhm.
and now he's the manager of the Orioles. How you guys liking him?
The feelings definitely seem to be mixed. I like him a lot, and I'm glad. Apparently, that sorry. Apparently, he was signed to a long-term contract sometime over the last few years. Um, Details of that contract haven't been made public, beyond the fact that he was signed to a long-term contract and long enough that the
That's
hope
Wait, they
weird.
is that
didn't tell you
no,
how long. They're just like,
nope.
it's a long
Mhm.
time. How
Yeah,
long? Really long.
they haven't told us how long, and they didn't tell us when it happened. So we don't
That is
even
so
think it
weird.
happened last off season. It could have happened earlier than that, but they did tell us that it was long enough that the hope is that he will still be manager of the team when the Orioles win the World Series, whenever that is.
So
uh,
2052 is what we're thinking.
yeah, and apparently Elias signed a contract extension too, but again, we don't know for how long. Um,
So my last question to you about the Orioles is because you had this guy for a long time. You were probably a big fan, but Trey Mancini is now a Chicago Cub. So tell us about Trey. What can we expect from him? And I mean, is this a good signing for the Cubs?
I think so. Um, I mean, regardless of how he performs, he's one of the best, like top 5 best human beings in baseball. So you guys have somebody who will very quickly become a fan favorite in Chicago, whether he lives up to his potential or not. Um, and Trey, at his worst, I feel like is still somebody who is worth having on a team because he can hit for power. And I think that he will also do better in Wrigley now than he was doing um, in Baltimore and in Camden Yards because the new left field wall, with how far out they pushed it, doesn't suit him. So he's
Yeah,
not a guy who was going to thrive in Camden Yards anymore, and he'll have a more successful career somewhere like Wrigley than he was going to if he stayed here. And I know a lot of Orioles fans are very upset and angry about him leaving, and I mean I'm sad myself. Um, but I want him to be somewhere where he's going to thrive and be happier and have a more successful career. And I think that that's more likely to happen in Chicago. So I think that it's a good signing for you guys and that you guys are going to like him a lot.
well,
Yeah, well, let's hope they figure out that he's better than Eric Hosmer.
yeah,
At
we're
some
all,
Oh,
point, at some
he's
point, somebody needs to
definitely
figure
better
that
than
out.
Eric Hosmer. And
I
one thing is last season, he was still rebuilding his strength after chemotherapy. So if anybody thinks that he just doesn't have it anymore, that's not true. And I mean, he'll probably never be as good as he was when he hit like 35 or whatever it was home runs, just because chemo is something and cancer is something that he's going to tire out faster than he did before forever. But that means that he could potentially be like a 20 home run hitter instead of a 30 plus home run hitter. And he's relearning like how much effort he needs to put into things so that he doesn't front load the energy that he puts out and get tired and crash at the end of the season. So and I think that looking at last season and how he performed at the end of the season and assuming that that's how he's going to do last year is a mistake, because last year was a unique season for him, and also it's going to be a learning curve for him, that he's going to take things from that and use it to figure out how he needs to adjust personally to his new reality when playing.
Well, everybody sucks their first year on the Cubs. That's just how it goes. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that he's batting at least 150 for the first half of the year. That's just how that always works out. I kind of had slipped my mind that he was also a cancer survivor as well. And, we're going to need that from you as well. That Corey Furlong says Baltimore walls move more than Cotton's fence. Yeah, Cotton, how is your fence? I know it's got through the winter, but I also wanted to point out that there's a lot of people wishing you well in the chat here. Terry,
thank you, everybody.
Says that his mother beat breast cancer to stay strong. Joey says stay strong. Captain Cobo, Roberto Ramos says for you, Heather, cancer sucks. And so, we're all there for you. We want to support you on this journey that you're taking right now. And I'm going to share the link tree to all the information. If you can help out, please do. And hey, I got to tell you, I lived in Virginia when I was a kid. The Baltimore Orioles were my first team. There I am in 1982, I believe, with my little Orioles hat on. And so if I have an AL team, I think Baltimore deserves it more than just about anybody over there having to suffer through that juggernaut that is the AL East. But really appreciate you coming on the show, Heather, and just wish you the best of luck. Yeah. And please keep in touch. And when the Orioles come to play at Wrigley from the 16th to the 18th of June, maybe you can come out and hang out with us.
We were planning to. My husband's brother lives in Chicago, and we were going to come stay with them, but I have 6 months of chemotherapy ahead of me. Basically every week for 3 months, and then every 3 weeks for the next 3 months with immunotherapy in between. So I don't know if I'm going to have any permission to go out of town for a weekend in that period of time due to my immune response and platelet levels and whatnot. But I would love that, and if they give me permission to, and if my immune system is strong enough, then I'm hoping to. Right now, I'm hoping that to be able to get to Orioles games, because that's also something that is up in the air beyond opening day. So everyone, fingers crossed for me there.
Well, we definitely all have fingers crossed for you, and well, either way, we'll talk to you right around that time when the Cubs play the Orioles. Yeah. And
if you can't make it in, we'll do a game watch on Discord, and we'll bring you into the Discord, and you can watch a game with us.
I would love that.
Oh, I'm glad you said you'd love that, because as soon as I said it, I was like, Orioles fan may not want to watch a game with a bunch of Cubs fan. That might not be fun.
You can hear Cubs fans.
That would be fine.
You can hear Cubs fans bitch about losing to a team that we've never heard of the guys on. The Orioles. So,
well, you pretend you don't know who Adley Rutschman is. Like, who is this Rutschman guy?
Yeah. Well, that's the only guy I think I know on your team. So, well, thanks for coming on, and really, we wish you the best with everything that happens, and we're all on your side. And just if you can help out, everybody, please help out. But thank you for coming on, and we're gonna say goodbye to you, and we're gonna bring on our next guests. They're my former co-hosts.
Heather. Great seeing you.
They're my former co-hosts on Outside the Ivy. And we had a really magical summer in 2019 as we watched the Cubs basically blow it down the stretch in the Craig Kimbrell days of when. Oh, well, anyway, here they are. Let's talk about it more. Luis Medina, Michael Cerami, welcome to the Son Ranto Show. Hi, guys. How's it going?
What's up? How you doing?
It's I'm trying to get excited for this season, and I keep thinking of ways that it could go great. And then then the negative thoughts come in the back of my head and be like, well, look at the roster. There's absolutely no possible way they're going to compete in this league, especially when they got to play. So I'm feeling both ways right now.
This is what you need to do, Danny. I've been preparing for this. I've been preparing this speech for like 2 weeks. Let your mind go. Don't let this talk.
Did you just say lose your mind?
Lose your mind. Forget everything that you think you know or want to know. Go into this with a blank slate. Remember when you were young as a baseball fan and like you got maybe 1 or 2 spring training games, you got a couple on the radio, and like you kind of just knew who was around, but you still had hope. That's what I am going into this year. The World Baseball Classic took me away from Cubs baseball for a month, so I'm going into this kind of blind, but also happy because I'm going into this blind.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yes,
Is what you're saying.
No, I don't think Luis is wrong there. I think the way I think about it or try to think about it is even though the sell-off of all the guys we loved happened almost 2 years ago now, and last year was sort of like a transition year. Last year still sort of felt like we were the old Cubs. Like it still kind of felt like the end of like the last whimper of light that was going out from before. Jason Hayward was still starting
Contreras
all the time. Contreras,
Zach McKinstry. Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah.
I'm still struggling with the end of that season where they just kept putting his ass out there.
Yeah, they definitely tied their what is that saying? They tied their horse to that buggy or whatever. But this year, like I feel like for the first time, there's a lot of new faces to like root for. It feels like a new team. I feel lighter. I feel, like I don't think they're gonna be great. I think there's a chance that they are still in it come July. So maybe they don't have to sell everyone and maybe they can, maybe something like that. I don't think they're winning the World Series this year, but it feels like it's a new Cubs team. And I feel like refreshed. It's like your favorite show got a reboot, and it's like, okay, we're done with all the old characters. Let's start over and like, let's try to do something again. And it's not like this drag of expectations and what could have been bringing me down anymore. There's a lot of new guys and that's fun. And on the positional side, which was like not the case for years. I mean, got new pitchers,
let me put up some of these names. I don't know if you could read this, but there are so many new players on the Cubs. Like, my mom was asking me if, who was on the team. And I'm like, you're not going to know any of these guys. Like, you're not going to know a single one. But, Barnhart knew, Torrens knew, who I want to ask you guys about 3 catchers because that was a kind of a shocker to, I think, many of us.
Love it.
Hosmer knew. Mastroboni knew, pretty new. I think he came at the end of last year, maybe. But I don't think he played, though, did he?
I don't think he played.
That was over the offseason, I thought.
He's still new.
Yeah, he's new.
No, I think they picked him up in the season, but I don't think he ever went to Chicago. I think he...
maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know. I'm still pissed about McKinstry last year.
Yeah, right.
That's all I just got red and
McKinstry.
McKinstry.
Can't hurt you anymore.
Yeah, he's a Tiger now, Michael. We can let it go. He's now he's fighting with Zach Short for a job. Edwin Rios knew, Swanson knew. Wisdom. I think they forgot he's on the team. He somehow made it. Bellinger knew, and then Suzuki, and then Mancini, and it's most of the team is brand spanking new, and they're not like from our system. They're guys that were on other teams. They're not necessarily castaways. They're all slightly above average players.
They're big leaguers. They have real big leaguers now. They have actual players that are expected to play in the big leagues and are not Frank Schwindel. These are real. Trey Mancini, I mean, you guys are talking about him. I think he's going to be good. Like, I don't think he's going to be 2019 good. 135 rated runs created plus 35.
Okay, but Eric Hosmer,
but he's going to be good. No,
but Eric Hosmer is very much Frank Schwindel, right?
Yeah,
he's without the great face.
Eric Hosmer is not Frank Schwindel because he had a career. He's Jason Hayward. He's just not good anymore. You know what I mean?
No. Cody Bellinger is Jason Hayward.
Yeah, sure. Okay, the Cubs. Maybe the Cubs have a couple of those. Point is, I'm excited. I think Cody Bellinger is going to
sorry.
have himself
I
Pretty
love
a
good.
Cody
year.
Bellinger.
I think he's going to be fine.
He's going to be
Luis,
great.
where are you on this brand new lineup? I mean, we just don't know how it gels yet. I mean, how do you
I
feel?
kind of love it. Like, it kind of reminds me of either it kind of gives me like 1998 or 2001 vibes, where it's just like, here's Rod Beck. You remember him from the Giants. Here's Mickey Morandini. You remember that Harry Carey couldn't pronounce his name on the Phillies. Here's who's randomly the third catcher, Sandy Martinez, catching Kerry Wood 20 strikeout games. Or like in 2001 when they randomly got like Eric Young and Rondo White, and I'm trying to think Ron Coomer that year, and Matt Stair. It's just like, here's a bunch of like actual big leaguers you've heard of. They might not be as good as what you thought they were, but they're actual big leaguers.
Yeah,
it's like
there's a floor.
It's
There's
like
a floor this year.
We're making our Big Macs fresh again. Like, oh yeah, you can still do that.
And yeah, the question is like, you've got a bunch of like 2-win players. And so it's probably, and nobody's picking them. So like you're getting anywhere of the range of pretty much just repeating what they did last year, which is like 74 to 78 wins is kind of where a lot of people have them. I mean, I know we're supposed to be positive at the beginning of the year, but is this a team that could, I mean, win 90 games? You know, like,
Well,
is that even a remote possibility?
I mean, yeah, because you can't say anything other than yeah. But here's the difference between this team and some of the other bad Cubs teams of recent years. One, they have a starting rotation full of legitimate starting pitchers. There's 5 good starting pitchers. We don't have like a true ace. We have a good starting rotation and some legitimate depth. Adrian Sampson, Javier Assad, Kyle Hendricks are your 6, 7, 8 in whatever order you want.
Okay, you know what? I'm glad you just brought up Javier Assad because I'm personally the pitching I'm okay with, except for one spot. Fucking Smiley. Why is he in the starting rotation and not Javier Assad? Because Javier Assad's a better pitcher, and we have 0 left-handed arms in the bullpen.
Oh, we got one.
No, he's fucking hurt. He's in Illinois right now, but not Chicago. So, like, I'm saying Smiley could go be the long man because he's not a good starting pitcher.
Do you see a situation?
I disagree with that. I think he's a good starting pitcher. He's just usually hurt. When he's healthy, he's pitching.
Exactly.
And,
that's my question.
I think Javier Assad is better, and
okay, you don't have to worry. Javier, all 3 of those guys, besides being unproven, and besides me thinking Drew Smiley is, I think you're underselling him. But besides that,
I'm going based on what I saw this year. Like, I didn't think he was great.
But listen, Javier Assad is gonna make a bunch of starts this year. Like he's going to. He's not gonna not. He's gonna start. It's like if Hayden Wesneski didn't make the rotation. Well, granted, he had an amazing spring, so he should have. But like,
I honestly thought that was going to happen too. And
but even if it did, he's going to make the same amount of starts whether he started the year in the rotation or not. Most likely, these guys are going to pitch. It's not a question. That's why I think the starting staff is good. Expanded out to 8 because you have 8 starting pitchers that you kind of are okay starting on most days. So yeah, maybe you don't like Smiley, maybe you like Assad. They're both going to start. 0 worry about that. Like
I wonder about the piggyback situation too, if they'll piece together the back end of that rotation and be careful with Wesneski, protect him a little bit, not limit everybody's innings, limit Drew Smiley's innings. Use Assad.
Injuries will do that for him.
Assad, Alzolay, Keegan Thompson, all 3 of them are multi-inning relievers.
Alzolay,
they're gonna get a lot of innings one way or another.
Did you say Alzolay?
Totally different. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you did. Okay.
So that's good, and I think the defense is good. So that's my broader point was just that the pitching and defense are good this year. They're good. It's not great, but it's good. And then you just have to bank on the variance of the lineup, which has got guys like Mancini, Suzuki, Bellinger, maybe like Evelyn Rios, Ian Happ, all these guys that have these really high variabilities. And it's like if more than one of them click, maybe you have something. If Matt Mervis comes up, maybe you have something. But that's going to decide if they're going to win 90 games or not. The floor is the pitching and defense.
I forgot about Sand. I forgot about Mervis. Like, weren't they supposed to be like linchpins of this offense? I
mean,
say
that's why
that
the Cubs
like,
got lucky. The injury wasn't that bad for Seiya. Like, he might only miss 6 games. That's insane.
Is that a Cubs like? Is that actual good news, or are the Cubs doing that thing where it's just like, oh, it's not that bad, and then like in September, it's like, oh, actually, it was really bad.
Yeah,
You know, he plays the whole season, and they're like, he wasn't any good because he was hurt all year. It's like,
they do that. They do that a lot. I do think that it's going to be okay on him in terms of injury news because I'm pretty sure they want to use they didn't play him in a actual Cactus League game because then you couldn't backdate his IL stint by the extra 3 days that they wanted to do if he played in the Cactus League game. But he was swinging in the backfields, running, like doing all kinds of stuff, evidently, reportedly. And so I think that if he was like just getting there, they would have played him and given him a full runway. But instead, they held him back so that he only has to miss 7 days of the season, which ultimately amounts to just 6 games, which is insane. I mean, that'd be amazing because, yeah, without Suzuki, this lineup is kind of.
And it could actually be quite a few less games because it's going to be cold and rainy and snowy in Chicago this weekend, and we're not sure how many of those games are going to get played.
Yeah, well, Saturday looks like a banger. Like they could bang that one against Milwaukee. There's a good chance.
Just put it on Friday because no one likes the freaking off day after opening day. It's the worst thing in the world.
It's raining that day.
For the game in Milwaukee where they have a stupid dome and it's a home game for us anyway.
Yeah.
But no, none of it makes sense. Like in fact, I want you guys to participate in the bitch clock. It's a new segment we have on the show, and that is on the wheel, which is just like the MLB's idiotic scheduling of the Cubs. But I have some over/under questions to ask you guys. Last year there were 17 starting pitchers for the Cubs, up from 12 in 2021. So I'm going to set the over-under in between that at 14.5. Over or under?
I'm going to say under because I think Jamison Tyone and Marcus Stroman are going to make 30+ starts. Both.
Hold on, Michael. Let me before you lock this in. Let me remind you that you just told me that there's 8 guys on this team right now that can make starts.
Yeah, that's way less than 12.
But are there 15?
Yeah, or 15.
I'm just saying that you were just talking about how many guys we have that can do this and
that can do it, not that will do it. It's a different question.
I'm just trying to help
He's
you
saying
out.
they're good at it.
Locking the
Almost
answer at
double.
under because I was surprised when you said under because I thought he's going over.
I'm with you, Michael. No. I'm an under too. I think
17 was a record, wasn't it? Wasn't that the most I think it was the most in Cubs history last year. So
Luis, you're going over?
Going over. My number, I would have set it at 15.5 is what I would have said. And
I'll take those odds.
Right there. We're going over.
Because you're not accounting for the opener, and you're not accounting for the midseason trade off of Smiley and maybe someone else. So maybe
we'll be lucky.
Hold on, hear me out.
Get rid of Smiley at the
maybe we see Caleb Killian.
Yeah.
Maybe
if they trade players, then
Jordan Wicks. There are.
See, I just feel like Michael, you are correct. There's 8 guys that can start. I think they're going to use 8 guys. That's so we're starting at 8 without even fucking playing a game. We're starting at 8. 8 guys that are going to get. So now we only have to hit 7 more guys.
But
over
that's
the
double.
entire season.
Yeah, that's double 3 more than the minimum.
And what Michael
hit 15 though. They hit 15.
But Danny gets my point. It's just that they're capable of filling in as needed, not that they necessarily have to.
I honestly penciled those. I penciled in 8 guys for sure making starts. Those 8 guys that we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, right. Those that will happen.
Jordan Wicks start in September. I got a Caleb Killian start in July.
Yeah,
so now we're at 10.
Yep.
And Samson? Did you put Samson in?
Well, he's one of the 8.
And then we're gonna have trades at some point.
Yeah, but you can't double count that. If you're trading Smiley, then Killian and Assad and Sam, those are all part of it. You're like
No,
double counting.
That's how you get to that number. When you trade a starter and then you start a different person because you traded.
Right. But if one of those guys is one of the guys that is going to fill in anyway, then he's already counted.
Oh, no, I'm saying if they trade for, they get a starter.
Oh,
from
they
somewhere else.
acquire someone.
Yes, they pick up somebody.
Well, they're not
in
doing
some
that.
Sort of a,
Yeah.
oh,
Like they're gonna trade for a starter.
they fucking picked up Wisniewski last year.
Yeah, but then they just
Well,
needed
that was-
somebody.
They actually
Yeah,
got better after selling off somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. They did. They
Yeah.
finished
Look,
what, like
I'm
38
just
and
saying,
32 or something?
The game. I'm just trying to make sure that you're starting here and you're ending here, and you know that you had a little bit of weirdness in the middle.
Okay, well, we're split on this one. So let me get to the next one. I got John Benedict, the Cubs organist, waiting in the green room, and we got a lot to talk about with him. A lot of questions from Twitter for John.
Over under 1.5 organists. Oh, sorry,
Well,
John.
we're already
You weren't supposed to-
over.
That was supposed to be before. Oh.
So the Cubs were 17th in home runs in Major League Baseball last year. You lose a couple of your top guys, Contreras and Christopher Morel, who's starting the year in Iowa. Those are two of your top 5 home run hitters of last year's squad. So are they going to hit more home runs this year or fewer home runs this year?
Fewer. I don't see the power. I mean, you maybe if Hap completely goes back to a different player, which I hope he doesn't, but
I'll put the players we have back up.
yeah, they're not.
Man,
Especially
I want to go over here, but not because of the players, but because they lose some games in the Central, right? And which means you're losing games in St. Louis and you're losing Milwaukee.
Yeah, but Cincy.
You're losing
No, but
St.
Cincy's
Louis
the home
and
run
Pittsburgh.
place.
But since Pittsburgh aren't, and Wrigley
Yeah.
isn't half the time either. You're also
Half the
gaining
time.
games against Houston, some games in the AL East that are some bandboxes. So maybe you do get some more home runs.
Yeah, they're missing Wilson though. You replace Wilson with Dansby, let's say, and then it's like
Morel, it was third. I mean, Morel was third in homers for the Cubs last
Maybe
year.
you get
That's
more out
crazy.
of Wisdom. Maybe you get a full season of Wisdom.
Wisdom
Also,
led
you-
the team. Yeah, and Bellinger, you're hoping for, So who's your home run leader on this team? Maybe you're getting more out of Seiya this year. Maybe he finds his power stroke with this.
Wisdom's gonna hit 30. That's my prediction. My bold prediction this year is Wisdom hits 30.
So you're going
I could.
over.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over.
I'm going to take the under, but I still think it could be. The
Hater.
offense can work with them still going under.
Giant bases. They're just stealing all the time.
Nick Madrigal, Eric Hosmer, and Nico Horner, and Cody Bellinger, and Jan Gomes, and Tucker Barnhart are all playing a lot of games for the Cubs this year, you guys. Those guys,
I'm taking the under.
those guys don't hit home runs.
I would take Nick Madrigal with me. Damn it.
Those guys don't hit home runs.
It's funny you bring up
My
Nick
problem
Madrigal.
with this whole question is that I'm still trying to remember who was hitting home runs last year again, because I still don't remember that.
Well,
Wisdom.
we were 17th. There weren't a lot of. I mean,
That's what I mean. Like, I'm like, this team I've heard is better than last year, right?
Yeah,
But I
mean,
guess
it
not
is
in
better.
homers.
pitching's better.
No,
Yeah.
pitching,
You
defense.
don't have to hit home runs to be good.
I don't have a problem with going over for this team, over in the home runs this year, but I am still confused as to who was hitting home runs last year and going
I don't know.
under whatever they did.
I'm trying to forget last year happened.
Frank Trindle. Frank Trindle was the starting first baseman for a while, right? Like, was that last year or 10 years ago? I don't remember.
Eric Hosmer's the starting first baseman this year.
Yeah, but
maybe.
I mean, theoretically, it should eventually. Mervis can have one good month at Iowa, and he'll be up. And also, you have Mancini, who should
Eric
play first
Hosmer-
base.
Eric Hosmer
Edwin-
should be on the sidewalk. He
Yeah.
just shouldn't even be on the team at all.
No, I agree. Edwin Rios can hit some homers,
Yeah.
and if he gets some runway, he'll hit some home runs for sure.
Yeah.
And then maybe you get more out of Seiya, like Danny was saying.
Yeah, I mean, I can see a situation where it's an over only because a lot of guys are hitting them. Whereas, you're obviously you're going to have your Madrigals and your Hosmers who aren't gonna, but you could have a bunch of guys that if they have good years that could hit 20.
And we also don't know which ball they're using.
That's
yet,
what I was
so.
gonna say.
Yeah.
I thought,
Because we did outside the ivy in 2019 with the racquetball they were throwing up.
With the Super Bowl there.
That was amazing. I don't think we'll see that. I mean, that was just the extreme, just wound tight. So all right, I want to bring up your comment, Michael, and then this will be and then I want your well, you guys want to do the bitch clock?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool. Well,
give
let
it
me
a
bring
go.
let me bring up this comment, which is that the Cubs have been this is from you, Michael Cerami. The Cubs have been a three-catcher team for a while. 16, you had Contreras, Montero, and Ross. 17, Contreras, Coutinho, Avila, and Montero. Then 19, it went on, and you added Lucroy, Maldonado. So Contreras,
No, I skipped and 20.
Well, you
So
also
there's
skipped
2020
15.
didn't happen.
2018 and 2020, they only had 2. But I'm saying, like, what is that? 6 out of the last 8 years, they were carrying 3 catchers for most of the year.
15 with Schwarber.
Yeah, 15. Schwarber had a game or two.
Schwarber, sure, if you count
So
that.
he was your third catcher.
So and just my only question is, like, were you guys surprised by carrying the third catcher that position did not go to a utility guy like Morel or something? Or someone else?
Want to go first? I don't want to. Yeah, I think it's just I genuinely think it's like after I was looking into it, I think it might be like a philosophical organizational principle that there's benefit to having a third catcher, particularly in the sense that you can pinch hit for one of your catchers and still have a backup catcher available on the roster. So when you're prioritizing pitching and defense, or defense and framing, game calling behind the plate, and you have zeros at catcher offensively, you're going to want to pinch hit for them maybe more often than you normally would. So if you have a third catcher, it gives you a little bit more freedom to do that. Because again, they've been doing it for years. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we're big fans of catchers on this show. We know that 3 catchers is what gives it to you, but I was just shocked that they did it. I know it gives.
No, I don't think they wanted to lose Torrens, and they would have lost him if they didn't carry him on the active roster.
Yeah, he had a contractual thing that they had to put him on the roster or lose him. And also, I mean, why isn't Torrens sort of a utility guy? You know what I mean?
He will. He might get some first DH. I think they like his bat.
That's what I'm saying. And they obviously, I mean, they only have 2 outfielders right now. So, I mean, you could throw them out there a little bit too. Yeah. I don't know. I'm
Wisdom
just
and
Torrens
Mancini
might be a little bit more utility than.
Yeah. Like PJ Higgins and Victor Caratini.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's take a spin of the bitch clock, shall we? Who wants to go first? I'm going to share my screen here. This is the bitch clock right here, and these are all gripes that have been given to us by some of the Son Ranto ranters in the Patreon group on Discord. And there's everything from the Marquee Network to MLB blackouts to owners crying poor. You do get one mulligan if you don't like your topic, that you don't want to comment on that. But who wants to go first in the bitch clock?
I'll go first.
All right, Luis, I'm giving it a spin. All right, wait, hold on. I got to go to the other page. Here we go. What is the bitch clock gonna give us? You get expansion teams.
Expansion teams.
What do you think? You got something on expansion teams?
I do. I don't want them. I don't want them.
Okay, well, hold
on. Wait for the bitch clock to start.
All right. Here comes the bitch clock.
You have 60 seconds to bitch.
Look, man, everyone loves the idea of expansion teams, and everyone makes money off of them. MLB probably wants to go to 32 teams. But here's the problem with it. There isn't enough good pitching to go around for 30 teams. How are you going to tell me there's going to be good pitching for 32 teams? MLB owners don't want to pay for minor league teams as it is. Now we're going to add 2 more teams that don't want to pay for minor leaguers? Come on, man. This ain't right. Keep baseball at 30
30
teams.
seconds.
Don't screw this up for everyone else. Because, like, look,
What if they went to Puerto Rico?
man, they wouldn't. We have too much flavor for that. I learned that when I was at the WBC. Look, we had us and the Dominicans had a band going around Marlins Park playing music. You think, like,
10
if
seconds.
Tom Ricketts saw that, he'd have a heart attack. All those Latinos together would give him a stroke.
There it is.
All
Very nice
right.
job.
You're bitching.
Very nice job, Luis. That was awesome.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
All right, I'm gonna put us back in. Michael, are you ready to take a spin of the bitch clock?
Yeah, I absolutely love this. I
All
don't
right.
even know if I'm going to be upset about whatever it is, but I'm definitely going to pretend to be.
Exactly. It's kind of like it's
It's
kind of
cathartic.
it's like a debate class, where you just have to
Yeah.
take the one side. So, all right, I'm spinning the wheel for you. Let's see what we get. Round and round she goes. Where she stops, nobody knows except for. Oh, here we go. Oh, what you got on Boom?
Oh!
Okay. God. I hope no screen recording.
No.
Clown,
Here we
you
go.
have 60 seconds to bitch.
All right, here's my problem with Boog. As a Cubs broadcaster, I think the biggest flaw that Marquee Sports Network has done is over-professionalized everything they're doing about their broadcast. It started with the must-wear suits and ties until we all bitched on Twitter, and they changed that. Boog is sort of the epitome of the over professionalized broadcaster. So what you lose is what, like, the exact opposite that you gain from Sutcliffe, who's not someone I'd want to do all the broadcasts, but he has this like actual emotion and emotional response and fandom and homerism that shines through that I want out of a Cubs broadcaster. And then there's some of the traditional gripes, which is just that sometimes he tends to get a little bit away from the actual game action and does a little bit more
Sometimes.
podcasting. Yeah. And I don't think he gels with JD that well either. I think they kind of butt heads a little bit too much. So those are the things that I don't like about Boog as a Cubs broadcaster.
Very
And
nice.
3, 2, 1.
2,
That was
1,
pretty good.
and stop your.
Stop your bitching.
Very nice job. Well, thanks. We've really been enjoying the bitch clock, and hopefully we don't have too many things to bitch about coming up, and that it's just an awesome season, and we'll just like put this entire segment to bed in the future. But
I wouldn't. I like it.
yeah, I know. It's all the stuff that we would have done on Outside of the Ivy if NBC had a brain in their head. No, but I always enjoy doing the show with you guys, and yeah, I've always had fun hanging out with you guys. That summer was just so much fun. I had just had a blast and a half. And I do want to promote your event that's coming up. Bleacher Nation's doing an event with a guy who we got to know that summer, David Kaplan, and also so you're doing like a roundtable kind of thing, a panel at HVAC, and also Thomas Ian Nicholas says his whole band's going to be there, the Tin Band. And yeah, he does like rock and roll, basically. He's a rock band, and it is really good. And you guys are just throwing a big party. And you want to talk about it? It's April 6th.
Yeah, April 6th at HVAC from 5 to 9 p.m. You get a ticket. I can maybe throw a link in the comment section or something after this.
I just threw a link in the comment section for you. Yeah.
You get drinks. You get a drink with your ticket. You get food. We're gonna talk Bears. Luis is gonna be on the stage talking Bears. We're gonna talk Cubs with Kaplan and Brett. We're gonna talk to Thomas Ian Nicholas, who's the Rookie of the Year kid, if you don't know. We're gonna talk to him about his time filming that movie. Then his band's gonna play. It's just gonna be a Bleacher Nation like party. And we got some other special guests coming and stuff too. But I think it's gonna be really fun, and I hope you guys come out and see us.
Yeah, do that. I'm unfortunately going to be at a different event that night. That's also Cubs related, just like double booked. But if I can come at the end, I will. Justin Steele is going to be at Club 400 with Stuart McVicker, and he's going to come on the show in just about 10, 20 minutes and talk about that event too.
Stuart McVicker is not Justin Steele.
Not Justin Steele. Justin Steele's not coming on the show.
That sounded like for a second. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, exactly. All these people tune in. Where the hell's Justin Steele? Oh, sorry, I meant Stewart. But Bleacher Nation, amazing blog, #1 Cubs blog. I'm guessing it's the #1 Cubs blog in the world. And no, it's just awesome. I mean, it's my go-to for information. I love reading what you guys write. I'm sure your event's going to be awesome. I wish I could go. If you guys are partying late, I might stop by at the end when you're really in the can, and we'll just have a good time with it. So, but it's going to be a great season. We'll catch some games. You guys going to be there tomorrow?
Yes, I'll be there tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
All right, cool.
See you Easter.
Yeah, well, either there or come afterwards, catch the Bleacher Bum Band. We're playing right after over at Output Lounge, so I'll plug that one too. So it's free. So that if you hate it, you can leave and don't even have to pay a dime. It's great. So we'll have a great season, guys. I'm sure I'll see you tomorrow at some point, and I'll see you sooner than later.
Yes, sir.
Later.
Thanks a lot,
later,
Danny.
fellas.
Thanks, guys.
Take it easy, guys.
Bye. All right. Well, let's just keep on moving. Ladies and gentlemen, the Cubs organist, John Benedict. Here he is, the man, the myth, former radio producer and organist. I believe you have your mic muted. So I don't know if
I was going to sign the whole time. So no.
That would be very nice of you for our hearing impaired fans.
Correct. It would be, but I have I can't do that.
Tough for the podcast, though.
Yeah, no, for the listeners, it would be impossible.
Yeah,
but it'd be a neat trick.
Yeah, they'd be really confused for like about every 15 seconds when we stop talking, and they'd be like fast forwarding and seeing if their phone was.
It would be really funny if like I had it muted and you just kept responding to throw everybody off. Like, oh yeah, good point, man. Great point. No,
so
I better be on that list for output, man. You better put me on that list.
Well, there is no. It's just free. Anybody can come.
Make a list. I'm in it for the prestige, man.
VIP.
Put me on a list.
Yeah, VIP. I want to show up. So you've got the greatest job pretty much in the world. I mean, you obviously worked hard your whole life learning how to play piano because you're an amazing pianist. And then and I know you and I've talked a lot about music in the past, and that you took lessons for years and you worked really hard at it. But very few people get to do the job that you get to do, which is sit right above in one of the greatest perches over a ball over a ball field on the planet and play music, which you love, in front of a team which you love, and all the fans which you are one of, and also you love. I mean, are you just the happiest man on the planet? Like, what's going on with you?
It's surreal, and I try to actively have a moment every game where I just kind of sit there and look at what it is, and it's always, I can't imagine the first weekend of April is going to be a beautiful summer, like weather wise, but every now and again, I just, if it's a down moment or if there's pitching change or whatever, and you get a bit of a breather, you look at everyone there for the same reason, having a good time. You smell the grilled onions in the air, whether it's April or September. It's just, there's an environment that you can't really match anywhere else. Boston tries to do it, and they you just can't. So
they're too mean in Boston. See, Cub fans are just way nicer, and I think that's what does it.
We're all violent, but we're nicer.
Yeah, John, that brings up a great question, though. How hard is it to play the organ while wearing mittens?
We're just doing chopsticks today. Just chopsticks.
I wish I had them with me. I have like these like super Urban Outfitter-y fingerless gloves that actually work pretty well.
You look like a hobo in in the Great Depression over a garbage can that's on fire with your fingerless.
Like,
gloves.
could you spare a sandwich, say? Could you please? Yeah, like
have you
the cold cuts on you?
Have you asked the Ricketts for heated keys? Have the keys be warm so that you just keep playing.
They're plastic and they're character building. So I'll take, and actually the those packet heaters, those little plastic things you crack, and they stay hot. They're like 150 degrees for like 3 hours.
Yeah,
and they're really cheap and they work really well. So you just keep them in your coat pockets, or you have them next to you or whatever. Just grip them and then you go do your thing, because it's like that's the way the game is. It isn't really like I'm playing for it's not like I'm playing for 6 minutes at a time. It's like I play for 10 seconds and then I sit there and watch.
Well, that's
10
my
seconds,
question.
sit
So
there and watch.
I mean, a lot of times it is just 10 seconds because you'll have just a little something that you throw in after a foul ball, or, I walk the line, I walk the
Sure.
line of, just something's real quick. But
Good catch.
tell me about, there's kind of, there's new guidelines this year with they're speeding up the game. So they're speeding you up. So you'll have lots of time to warm your hands. It seems like in between your 10-second snippets. So is there anything that we'll notice as fans that will be a little different this year?
Not from my end, because we've been, and I'll give you a little inside baseball. The last couple of days, we usually, the production team, they run through a little bit of a scrimmage. And we honestly, from the music standpoint, very few moments that are different noticeably. We just got to pay attention more. It was still a clock. I think there was still a 30-second timer, if I'm not wrong, last year, where it was a guide. And we usually stuck to that as principle. We'd crossfade the music at the end of that clock, or we'd announce the player. I'd do my ditty for 10 seconds, if that. Sometimes it's less than that, and then you wait. And it really doesn't seem that bad.
So
honestly,
I feel like we're breaking news here on the Son Ranto Show. The organist has always been on a pitch clock.
I'm on a producer in my ear whenever he tells me to shut up clock.
Yeah, well, and I guess oh, look what the cat dragged in, literally. I don't know if she's ready to come on yet. Are you ready to come on? No. Yeah, you can come on. All right, cool. We're gonna bring her on to just I forgot to mention earlier in the show, but IFG was late. She was running behind, had some appointments to come. But welcome. We got John Benedict on the show, infield flat-girl John.
Hi.
So yeah, we're talking a little bit about how pretty much the things are quite the same for John as the organist, even though the game's sped up. Now, I think that is the main difference. You did kind of point that out, is that because the game is going faster, you just have to pay attention more because there's not as much downtime.
Yeah, and the MLB was pretty clear about what happens when violations occur, and it's as simple as just don't violate the timer. I mean, it's as simple as that. And whoever does it gets penalized. And I think it'd be not the greatest thing in the world if it wasn't the player that violated it. So
yeah. Are you planning violation music?
No.
Like I fought the law and the law won.
That's an excellent one, Danny.
I won't lie, that's pretty good. For the umps, I'll do the Law and Order theme. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, that's a good one.
When the umps are announced, that's usually what I do. But that's pretty good.
Yeah, I fought the law and the law one. You could do Judas Priest, breaking the law. That was hard. It's only 2 notes.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how this goes.
Everybody's got all the great ideas for your job, and you're sitting over here just like, God, these assholes don't know what they're talking about.
Sure,
I just nod in affirmation, like, all right,
sure, whatever, guys.
Well, I do have some questions from the Peanut Gallery out there in Ranterland, and this comes from Twitter.
Good.
So, because Twitter always just
the sensible ones all over Twitter. Yes,
a bastion of sanity here. So, somebody wants to know if you could bring back a classic from the late '70s and their Wrigley Youth, which is "Love Will Keep Us Together" by Captain and Tennille. They said, please. They used to play it while the grounds crew was watering the infields. So it's just a very specific memory that somebody's looking to have fulfilled by you, John.
Well, any suggestion is a good suggestion. I've played, usually, I'll get stuff, I'll put something up there and someone will, I'll give people the opportunity to give me requests. But a lot of requests come mid-game or the day before or just kind of on a whim. And that's how I kind of set up my entire playlist.
That's so cool. People's
requests and desire. I have a taste in music and I just kind of play things, but some things just don't sound good on the organ. But it's worth a try every time. And my counterpart, there you go. That's
David wants to send long distance dedications.
So what's if somebody out there is trying to pick the perfect organ song to request for their special thing, what's a good guideline for like what kind of song translates well?
Whatever your heart desires, honestly. Because I mean, the worst I could do is not play it well. I mean, that's the worst thing. And you don't. I'm the one who gets the flack for that. If I mess up, if I don't play a song well, it's on me. It's not up to, I mean, if you.
And it's just because it is just the 10 seconds. You just have to figure out the melody from the chorus. And I would imagine just
sometimes it's not though. Sometimes, I mean, there during the welcome messages, the 5th inning, I get a full minute and a half. And then if you show up early enough, I'm doing my overture from gates opening till about 40 minutes before first pitch. So, you know, there's some time where I get to play full songs, and I'll try out some of the new stuff early on to see how they go. And then if they work out, I put them up, I push them back in my repertoire so more people can hear it, or I can play it mid game or whatever. Yeah.
David Lee would like to hear Bach, Beethoven, or Spinal Tap, and John Pincus would like the Raindrop Prelude from Chopin for the start of a rain delay. So get out your Chopin books.
I have to assume so many people like they suggest songs, but are they just all very similar? Like do the same like 5 songs keep popping up?
No. I mean, every now and again, someone, I don't mean to be like that guy. Like someone thinks they're,
come on, be that guy.
Someone thinks
it's clever.
They have the greatest sense of humor on the planet. They'll send me the video of the organist getting kicked out of the game for playing Three Blind Mice. They're like, dude, you should totally freaking play this. And I got sent like 5, and that's hilarious, right? I like
so funny.
I love my
every
job.
time you hear it.
I would love to keep it.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
Yeah. Some things you just just think for like 3 more seconds than from what the moment you impulsively said. Just why wouldn't
I do that? Yeah. Oh well, there's a couple more questions from the people out on Twitter, and this kind of has to do with that. It's a troll job because you've done a few troll jobs of opposing players, and it's all lighthearted fun. So there is some of that is allowed, like messing with the players' names. It's one of your like TikTok bits, but you're a great TikTok follow too. If you don't follow, what is it? Johnny Bones? Is that Johnny?
No, it's John. Well, yeah, it looks like Johnny Bones the Keys, but it's Johnny B on the keys.
Johnny B on the keys.
Yeah,
and so
all one word.
So Jay Griffin wants to know, what is your favorite troll that you've done that like one that sticks out as a fun one?
I this was my favorite. There were a couple on the Cardinals. Harrison Bader, he's no longer a Cardinal, but Harrison Bader, I would play the Darth Vader theme.
Darth Vader.
Yeah, Darth Vader. And then who was it? Tommy Edman. I play Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Oh, that's
and
good.
It's just kind of this like
deep.
dreary,
deep cuts
monotonous. There. Yeah. There was another one. Who was it? Marsh.
Yeah,
Brandon
Marsh.
Yeah.
The Ides of March. I play Vehicle. Ides of March.
He looks like a caveman. I thought you were going to say you played the Captain Caveman.
There's the question everybody wants to ask.
Have you come up with something to troll Wilson Contreras yet?
No matter how he left or what you feel about the player, every single former Cubs player, I'll play like memories.
I'll miss you,
Cats. Yeah, miss you. I will always love you. All these things, because I mean, this is a business. It's things are going to happen that don't make you happy. And players are going to do something to, have a job. So
can I make a suggestion for Wilson?
Sure.
That it's kind of like on the fence that it would still work? Is it Lady in Red? How about Lady in Red? Lady in Red.
Oh, that's clever.
Dancing. Like it's kind of wistful, but you're also kind of insulting him a little bit, like because he wouldn't like it. I don't.
Well, or I could just do a classic. I'll do the classic troll, like where I mess with their name, Wilson, I'll just play the theme
Wilson
from
Phillips.
Castaway. No, the theme from Castaway.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Just, or Wilson Phillips.
Because he's been cast away from our team.
Okay.
I like it. I'm making it work
Now
here.
we're reaching.
Right now he's rethinking it. Nope.
And then I guess this is kind of the same question. Not really, but in that long set of music that you get to do, this from Jacob Zanola on Twitter. What's your favorite song to play? What sticks out to you? Or I'm sure it changes all the time, but how about right now? Anything new maybe that you're going to do this year that you're like, oh, this is awesome, I'm going to add it to the repertoire?
I have a few new ones that I haven't really tried out yet, but there'll be more. From last year, I think my favorite was 1999 Prince.
Dude, we danced to that.
Yeah, at Cubs.
That was
you and Bleacher Jeff were all just jamming out. And there's a similar rhythm I use for I Want to Dance with Somebody Who Loves Me. They're just really, really fun songs to play. As much as they are fun to sing, man, they're fun to play. And I can't help but move. So you'll probably, if you're at the ballpark tomorrow, you'll probably hear one of those too.
My throat still hurts from screaming that song in the lobby because apparently I don't have I know. Apparently I don't have as high of a voice as Whitney Houston, but I tried to have one. Yeah. Just like up there being Bleacher Jeff just screaming our falsettos.
You also had Liquid Courage. So, I mean,
yeah. I had a liquid hangover at that point. Like everything about me was liquid at that point.
That was day. Yeah,
that was in the daytime. I was hurting. So I got to thank you for really one of the most amazing things that ever happened to me at Wrigley Field, and it's you showed my family such an amazing time. And here's a picture of it. This is me. You see Jeremiah in the background there. It's my mom and my sister, my aunt. There's you, John, and then my cousin and her boyfriend. Now, this was such an amazing memory, and it's made all the more bittersweet by the fact that my cousin, with her hand out stretched there in the back, she recently had a pretty massive stroke, and she's recovering from that right now. So this is kind of like happier times. So there's like a bittersweet thing to this picture, but this isn't even the amazing thing that happened. This is the amazing thing that happened when you let my mom play the organ. That's my mom playing the organ after the game at Wrigley Field. And she was an organist for years and years and years at the Catholic Church. So I got to tell you, I keep that video on my phone because it makes me just about as happier than just about any video that I've ever seen in my life. And, just thank you. It just all happenstance. It was, you might've had to leave early. It just all worked out. And I really just appreciate it. Just one of the best moments of my life at Wrigley Field.
Oh man, I appreciate the kind words. I get a lot of people ask me to come up there and stuff like that. And very rarely do people come up and appreciate. I think they see the view first, and it's like, wow, that's amazing, and this is so cool because it's kind of the backstage of Wrigley Field, and but to have someone like your mom who is one of the few who can appreciate an organ, let alone a piano, who can appreciate an organ, that means a lot to me. Because it doesn't make me feel so much like a stranger or something that's obsolete in culture or music or something like that. I know you mentioned she used to trade music with Nancy Faust.
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah, she was because there's not a lot of organists, even in a big city like Chicago.
Right.
So back in the day before the internet, they all were sharing music, and we'd go over to Nancy's house, and she had an organ there, and my mom would pick up something that she had to do for a wedding, and.
Yeah, and that's sort of that's a testament to kind of the great thing about Wrigley Field, and the great thing about a lot of ballparks is they're preserving this sort of relic and keeping it alive and giving it a chance to continue to be a part of the baseball culture. And Nancy Faust she's if there's a Mount Rushmore for ballpark organists, she's on it 4 times. She's the reason why sports around the world sing na 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 na. She's literally the reason for that. It's not even just a speculation or a myth. Like the band that wrote that song in the 60s re-released it when she started making it a thing at Comiskey, put her name on the album, and it went platinum.
Amazing.
Wow.
She's the bomb. She's the way it is. And the fact that your mom knew her, not just like in passing, but like knew her is something like I'm fangirling over it because I think it's fantastic.
Nancy played me a break of my stride. You know, nobody's gonna break of my stride. Yeah, she played that for me in her living room as a kid because it was my favorite song. She's like, "What do you want to hear, Daddy?" I'm like, "Break my stride. It's my favorite song." So yeah, and hey, you're standing on the shoulders of giants, and I mean, to be honest, the coolest thing about it is you and Jeremiah both, the PA announcer at Wrigley Field. You guys may very well be doing this job and be the PA announcer and the organist at Wrigley Field for the rest of my natural life. And that is that's a cool thing because you guys are young.
Yeah.
And before you get too nervous about that statement, Danny is not healthy.
Yeah,
He's a very unhealthy human.
Like, oh my God, how long do I have to do this? Don't worry, only 8 more years, John. That's all.
July. July. Yeah. But no. So, and you know, you'll hear there's 2 of us, and I know like Josh Langhoff. Yeah, Josh. Well, you'll hear both of us tomorrow. He does something, and I got to see how he does it yesterday because I'm not much of a purist as far as being an organist. I kind of made it work for me in the beginning, and I've gotten a little better than I was. But he's been an organist for a long time. And he does Pony Genuine. That is
that's good.
I can't, and how he pulls it off. He does something with one of the rhythms that wouldn't ordinarily be, because if you know, the Lowry has these preset rhythms with an orchestra in the back.
Yeah, they're kind of corny sometimes. Yeah,
it's a little.
My grandmother had one.
Little old school. It's not a Hammond. Hammonds are something that are meant to, but he adds a little tone to the foot pedals and does that boom, 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 that bass line the whole time, and has the drums, and then does the melody. It sounds freaking sick. It sounds sick.
Yeah, he's amazing, and I hope to see him tomorrow too. And I hope to see you tomorrow at the Bleacher Bum Band show. And we gotta jam again. Always have such fun jamming with you. Maybe we do a little jamming at the April 6th Club 400 party. And and by the way, that's a great way to announce what's happening next. We are going to have Stuart McVicker and Crawley on from the Club 400 and the Fly the W podcast. So, John, happy opening day. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And, just you're awesome. And just thanks for all you do and being such a cool guy and a part of it all.
Dude, you're the bomb, man. I appreciate you. Thank you.
We're going to go to commercial.
Great talking to you.
We're going to go to commercial. And just remember, there's a commercial for Patreon. We are giving away another one of these shirts here tonight. So you can join up right now. Opening day is a holiday. This is an obvious shirt. We're giving one of these suckers away. And we're also giving away the Matt Kammerer Wilson Contreras print, but you got to join Patreon. It's only $1 a month, and it's at patreon.com/Son Ranto. We will be right back with Crawley and Stuart McVicker. All over Chicagoland, there are thirsty, frazzled, overworked Cubs podcasters who are struggling to survive one more baseball season in the dog-eat-dog world of unpaid content creation. But it doesn't have to be this way. You can make a difference. Become a super ranter at patreon.com/Son Ranto, where your support ensures that poor, sad, pathetic, ugly, loser Cubs podcasters can pay for tickets and beer, and in turn line the pockets of the baseball oligarch Ricketts family. Just $1 a month can buy a scorecard. $5 a month can pay for guitar strings to write a Cubs song. And $10 a month almost buys one beer at Wrigley Field. Cubs content creators are the lowest pieces of pond scum garbage that slither over the face of this planet. But super ranters help them get drunk and screw off at baseball games. What do you get out of it? The Son Ranto Show delivered to your podcatcher without stupid advertisements like the one you're seeing and hearing right now. Plus, at other Super Ranter levels, you can get Cubs music, access to private Son Ranto pages, the Ranter calendar, and special thanks and Ranter recognition in our live broadcasts. Plus, eligibility for monthly prizes. What does Son Ranto get out of it? Your money. For tickets and beer. Go to patreon.com/sunranto. That's patreon.com/sunranto. And become a Super Ranter today. Welcome back to the Son Ranto Show, and welcome to the Son Ranto Show, Crawley! And we got Sweet William in the background. Where are you guys coming from right now?
We are live from Club 400 Chicago. It was under my impression that the Son Ranto Show runs on time, and when you give us a time, that's when we're going to start. I thought you guys ran like clockwork.
What's a clock?
Yeah.
I was an hour late. I mean,
Right.
Yeah, don't worry. We got a clock coming for you later. You're going to take a little spin of the bitch clock, and we're going to get.
What was John Benedict being all like nice about, man? Like, that was some horseshit.
He got fruity there at the end.
Like Wilson Contreras played Cry Me a River. How about that? Cry Me a River. Let's go there, John Benedict. How about Bye 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 by NSYNC?
See, I was thinking Happier by Olivia Rodrigo. I hope you're happy, but not happier than with me.
Cry Me a River. You know what? You guys
He
know.
ain't heavy. He's my brother, the better Contreras, the one in Milwaukee. Oops.
I'm not.
I was a pro cheer for Wilson guy, but I am just so over it.
No, you never were. You have been talking about getting rid of Wilson Contreras forever. You've been bitching. You were bitching all last year, like hashtag save Wilson. Nobody wants to hear it. Like
I will.
You hate Wilson Contreras.
No. I was ready to pack his bag. I 100% agree with the decision. My issue was people bitching, saying that they were going to boo him, and I said, no, he's a World Series champ. You know, I'm going to give him some respect. I'm going to cheer when he comes and da. But it's gotten very old this offseason. The whole I'm wearing cleats for Yachty. Did they just kill him? Like what is it? What is this shit? Come on.
Yeah, well, John Pickus is pointing out that Crawley was a pro cheer KB guy and all the World Series players. But
but not Wilson.
Wilson.
I'm going. I remember. All I remember is Crawley being upset that we were putting out hashtag sign Wilson Contreras.
Yeah, I honestly didn't think it was going to happen. It didn't happen. I have no problem with that. I always cheered all the World Series guys.
And it was a mistake.
We'll see about that. We'll see.
We will, unfortunately.
So I've
seen more homers in spring. Woohoo!
So you just come back into town.
Yan Gomez hit all the homers in spring.
Yeah. Gomes is our home run king. Him and Morel, who got apparently all you got to do is hit a lot of home runs. You get sent to Iowa. Like that's or you end up being the backup catcher. So you are attending your 29th straight 20 how many?
Great podcast.
23rd.
He meant opening day, not podcast.
Yeah, 23rd straight opening day. So it was so you started when you were in your mid 40s. No, yeah.
Opening days will age you. I'll tell you that much. I always feel like there's a week taken off my life after an opening day.
Well, it is, and I know you guys go pretty hard. So, is there like some pre-gaming, or are you just kind of like trying to take it easy tonight, get some sleep? Or I see you're drinking a beer, but like, I mean,
the pregame starts now. We'll be at
Okay.
output in the morning, and then I'm trying to figure out what I want to do after the game. I guess there'll probably be something to do. Maybe I'll find something.
Well, there is a little thing called a Bleacher Bum Band show where there is a free rock and roll going on at that very same place, Output Lounge.
Podcast will be attending that for sure.
All right, that sounds like a fun time.
Not sure if this guy's going or not.
Yeah.
He's
We
probably-
need him to go. It's the only way the band ever makes any money with raffle tickets because the guy's a bored salesman. But so I got to ask you, you're doing the Fly the W podcast. You're talking to people at 6-7. You're interviewing a lot of different people. And Sweet William, you've got the Club 400 podcast. So you guys are like super close to the team. You're always thinking about this team day in, day out. So where are you with this team right now with all these brand new players? I noticed there's still tickets available from the Cubs and plenty on StubHub and all the secondary markets. The weather's not terrible. What is it going to take for us to love and Chicago to love and embrace this team in the way that we have teams past?
I think it's going to be fine. I mean, obviously, a lot of people had a bad taste in their mouth from the big sell-off from 2021. I think this is going to be a fun team. I think it's going to be a competitive team. You know what it's like when all of a sudden it's like July and your team's so far out of it, there's no hope. I mean, shit, sometimes we get there in May. And so I think it's going to be a season that's going to be competitive. I don't think they're going to make the postseason. But I think it's going to be a much better brand of baseball than we've seen the last couple of years. So I think people are going to enjoy it. I think this is the beginning of a good run. I think you're going to see a lot of players that are going to come up and be bigger parts in 2024 and 2025. When you talk about the Caleb Killians, I know Jeremiah Estrada. When you talk about Cam Sanders, there's a lot of guys. I'm sure we're going to see Brennan Davis or Alexander Canario at some point at the end of the season. So I kind of got a feeling that this is going to be like, we're going to look at this similar to like we did in 2014, when all of a sudden at the very end, you started to see a little fight in that team when they had been kicked on the ground for a while. And that's what I think this season's really going to be about. I've been saying this for a while. 2024, the Cubs will do more. And we try to come up with the 2023, the Cubs won't smell like pee or something. I couldn't come up with anything. I think it's going to be
certainly is not good.
I think it's going to be a fun year, an enjoyable year, just not playoff caliber year.
And yeah, so William, where are you at? Like, do you have a win total in your mind that you want to give us?
Of course I do. I mean, I was prepared for this. I found out a minute and a half before we got on, but I'm going to say 85, and they do sneak into the playoffs barely. And by the way, they win the division because the team to the whatever of us, St. Louis, their pitching staff sucks. They're getting old and they are falling apart and they suck. And Milwaukee has to trade their best pitchers off by the trade deadline. So Chicago is going to stay there all year and then sneak in. And
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
I like it.
Okay, so clearly, William, you're all up on this team. Okay.
Yeah.
But we've got, but since Danny actually said something leading to this with Crawley a minute ago, let's talk a little over under here with Wrigley Field sellouts. I've got the over under set, I think maybe generously at 4.5. Do you think Wrigley Field will sell out
5 times
or under?
Oh, Michael,
4.5
you're way under on that.
That's
I think, yeah.
way under.
Yeah.
For the year? The year
They did not sell out last year.
Last year, they didn't
They
even
didn't
sell
sell
one
out
time.
a single game.
Yeah, but look at the team that was there last year. You basically have a whole new team. And not only that, Boston's coming to town. Like the Boston fans, are going to fill that place up.
So that's one.
It's not one game. There's a series.
Well,
there,
but only one's going to sell out. Saturday.
I think summer's going to be banging. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be competitive. That's what I think is going to happen. I think it's going to be over 4.
David Lieb says over as well. The Cubs had 2.616 million people last year. Are they going to go over 2.6 million this year? I mean, it feels like you're saying yes.
Yeah.
2.6 million was like their worst year in many years.
I think they're going to go over that. I think it's like last year. There's no one that was sober that had the Cubs coming anywhere near the playoffs last year. All we just wanted them was to not absolutely embarrass us. And that's not a way you sell tickets. That's not what you put on your marketing slogan. Like, don't embarrass us. Hashtag. So, I mean, at least this year, you're going to sit there and you are going to see some quality baseball. You're going to have a lot of good pitching. You're going to have good defense. The question is the offense going to be able to produce enough runs? You can't two-plan like you did last year. You can't leave runners in scoring position. You're going to have to grind out at bats and score any way you can. So,
And if they don't produce enough runs, just keep the Marquee Network on and watch the Iowa team because they will.
oh, yeah.
Future's coming, baby.
Future looks bright.
Very
Well,
bright.
and I'm actually curious about everybody's over under, like because I never give my opinion. I just like to hear from everybody else. But IFG, do you have like a number in your head right now of what you think this team can do?
I think 84 wins.
I said 85.
You're 84.
Wait,
You're
are we
85.
doing? Are we doing?
Oh,
wins or
you're
sellouts?
talking wins and losses?
No,
I-
wins and losses. Yeah, no wins and losses.
Oh God.
84 sellouts. That's where we're going.
I
If you count the
I thought I
concert.
saw Tom Ricketts skipping down the street here. Jeez, he's happy.
Stu McVickers.
if we
says
hit 90
82.
wins, I'm buying champagne.
And
I think the line is 77 right now.
77
out
is
of
Yeah.
Vegas or whatever.
Yeah.
I think we're looking at 72.
Oh.
72.
Oh, you think it's worse than that?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say
I don't think
I'm gonna
this
say
team.
this isn't.
I
Is
was
it the pitching?
I was thinking generously low 80s.
Yeah, I'm going 81 and
that's-
81, which is the most frustrating team you could possibly have in the world.
Yeah.
But again, and we've talked about this the last couple of years, is they can't fuck around. They have to get out of the gate like gangbusters. The schedule looks tough for April.
Yep.
And so that's what scares you is if they
The
are
first 2 months is brutal.
I
for this
feel
team.
like if they start behind too much, we're looking at, Cotton's 74 game season or whatever.
So that's one of these things. When you got a 500 team, it can go either way because if all of a sudden they start sucking up and then you're looking at the trade deadline, well, then you got a lot of pieces that you're going to get rid of and you're going to end up with a lot more losses at the end of the season. So, I mean, Cody Bellinger's 1-year deal, Trey Mancini, you talk about Michael Fulmer.
Stroman's contract.
Right. You talk about if they can't get off to a good start, they don't have the luxury of trying to be able to come back and have a strong end of the season. Like last year,
Yep.
remember they kind of came back and they were super strong and that was because of the pitching infrastructure. The pitching was really good, but you're going to lose a lot of good guys if they're not where they need to be at the trade deadline. So that's what always hangs over you. And that's where you look at like I said, like the schedule and the weather are the two things I look at in April. Who do they got to beat? And is it going to be like 40 and rainy every damn game? That doesn't favor the Cubs.
Yeah, and I don't want to be like living and dying over a series against the Pirates in July.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't think we will.
Well, and Crawley, what you're talking about is exactly why I'm going much lower, is because I think that the schedule early on in this season is going to be really hard for the Cubs. And when you start out and you get beat up early, then things don't get better. And when they do, they're going to be selling off.
The other side of
going
it
to happen. It's just not a good way to start this season, what their schedule looks like.
Well, the other side of it is you catch a team that's really good early in their season and they're not put together yet. So if you're facing the Padres early on, if you're facing the Dodgers early on, which you are, you can maybe just sneak in and win those games because they don't have their pedal on the they don't have their foot on the pedal yet, though. Crawley, I'm going to share, and this is for, I shared it in the wrong chat. I'm going to share the link to your podcast, which is the Fly the W podcast. Everybody should subscribe to it. I'm also going to share the link to the Club 400 Cubs because I don't know if there's any more tickets for Justin Steele yet. Hey, there's Stuart McVicker in the house.
Dude, I just had a surreal moment because I ordered some pizzas and I put in my home address.
And you're not home. You're at Club 400 Wrigleyville.
Do you know how much that delivery charge is going to be?
Exactly. I was like, that was a surreal moment because I'm celebrating Club 400, the opening tonight. I mean, it's finally done.
Yay!
I hope you guys can stop by. If not tomorrow, anytime.
We'll be by after the band rocks tomorrow.
Oh, yeah,
we'll come by.
This thing's done. It's finally completed.
Which band is that again?
Yeah, Bleacher
What
Bum
band?
Band.
What
You're
band?
talking about Bleacher Bum Band at
Bleacher
Output.
Bum.
Best chicken wings in Chicago Output. I hear you.
That is where we'll be.
Is Guy Sirius going to be there?
Guy Sirius will be there. In fact,
Who's the
Guy
drummer?
Sirius is going to be here really soon. He's going to be on this show. He's showing up right after you. And in fact, speaking of people that are showing up right after you, I want to bring in a couple more voices into this conversation because this is the Ranter Roundtable. First of all, I'm going to bring in Cody Delmendo from Chuggo and his
Hi.
and his Delmetrics. And we're also gonna bring in Michael Cantor, who does the rundown on Cubs Insider, and just more great voices from the Cubs blog pod world. And welcome to the Son Ranto Show, guys. First of all, let's start with your numbers. We just gave them. We're all sitting in the, except for Michael, in the mid to high 80s. Where are you, Cody?
I mean, we did our season predictions on CHGO Cubs today, and I just went with the ceiling. I went with 88 wins. I know it's a homer thing to say. I know it. Who knows? Like a lot of things would have to go right for that to happen, but that's just the way I think. That's the way that I am. So, but I do think realistically, low 80s is more likely. But again, I just went with the ceiling of 88. Maybe. I mean. They
be fun.
They could get to 90 if like just some random crazy shit happened. But I think 88 is doable. Just based off if Wesneski is in the Rookie of the Year chase, for example, or Tyone is better than what he's been his entire career. They've really hyped him up, and he's really talked a lot about the Cubs pitching infrastructure and how much he thinks he can get better. He had a lot of success in the NL Central when he was with the Pirates. So, I think the pitching and defense will obviously be the strength. And I've always thought if you get two of the three facets of winning a game, you're always going to be in the game and have a chance. So the Cubs were in a lot of like close games last year, and unfortunately they were on the losing side of a lot of them. So in my eyes, I'm hoping that it comes back. It's a little bit more. Some come back to them this year, I guess, in a way. But I don't blame people for not really buying into the team yet. The Cubs haven't done enough to really give us any trust. So I get it, but whatever. I won 88 wins, so my job is easier, guys. That's where I'm at.
And by the way,
more fun.
I truly hope at the end of this season,
Just for
all
the
of
record,
you drag me for my bad prediction. I hope that I'm the wrongest person on here, and you guys can all be like, God, you're a goddamn idiot. I would love that to happen.
It's pretty much what our show usually
Unfortunately,
is.
I
like.
know that I'm really fucking smart, and I don't think that's going to happen. So
right?
sorry.
I mean, you guys have become the longest running Cubs podcast based on losing predictions.
Exactly.
That doesn't happen overnight, man. That takes some effort.
I think all of us in CHO Cubs had. I think the lowest was 83. I think Luke took 83. Corey and Brendan both put 84. Brian put 85, and I'm pretty sure Jared also put 84. So, I mean, I guess we're all pretty optimistic about the season in terms of them just being better than last year, at least. So,
Well, Michael Cantor, do you have anything different to say about all this? You've lived a long time too, just like the rest of us, and so you might be a little bit more cynical or a little bit more optimistic. No, I think it's funny because Luke Stuckmeyer took the lowest number, and he's the oldest of us. I'm Luke's age. I took a lower number because I'm like, I've seen this shit before. There's no way they're, doing more than 81. So, what do you think, Michael Cantor?
So, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you sound great.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I got some bad earplugs here, but I think the Cubs are going to win 86 games this year.
Wow.
All right.
Yeah, but here's my thing. I have a caveat, right? I don't want the Cubs to be buyers at the deadline, not this year. So they're going to win 86 games, and I think they're going to be buyers. Maybe a closer, but I'd rather see that next year when the young kids are coming up and some of the guys aren't on the team anymore. You know, I have high hopes for Cody Bellinger, but I don't want to get too attached because he's probably a guy they'll trade at the deadline, right? So I got 86 wins. Pitching and defense wins a lot of games. I think the Cubs could win 90 games, but 86 sounds fair to me.
Okay, hold on one second. You said 86 wins, but not buyers.
Well,
I don't want the
he's
Cubs-
he's like 86, but he'll be mad about it.
I'm so confused. You did not clear that up at all, IFG.
Hey, in 2015,
Because if they
weren't
win
big buyers.
86 games, they're gonna buy this year and not next year.
Oh, okay. I got a little.
And I think that the team is built to be sellers at the deadline, right? There's a lot of guys whose contracts are up this year, especially because it doesn't look like they're going to extend Ian Happ. So if they need to trade those guys and get younger assets. If they're on a pace to win 86 games and maybe play for the wild card, right? They're going to be buyers. I would be upset about that.
Hey, Michael, did you see Ian Happ's quotes? Oh man, that sounds like when my wife is mad at me. He's pissed off.
Ooh, tell me more.
Yeah, tell us. I didn't see it.
What did he say? He was saying something to the effect like, "Yeah, it didn't happen. I've been through it. I'm just going to enjoy every day."
Yeah, he said, I'm going to take it day by day, I think is what he said. I'm just going to enjoy every day. And just he's just going to every day, like blow Bleacher Jeff kisses and be like, bye, buddy.
He is off like a prom dress.
Hope they mic me up on the Yankees and I can still talk about you.
Put him through that ringer last year, right? And now he's got to go through it again. And that's really shitty. So, I mean, shame on Jed Hoyer.
But this year he'll get to do it all alone because Wilson won't be there to get half of it.
Yeah.
Right.
So I feel like there's a chance that maybe they could get a deal done if the Cubs start out hot and he's playing well. I think there is a chance. I wouldn't bet on it or I wouldn't even ask you to hope for it because there's no reason to. But I think that if there's any last little bit of hope, it would be if the Cubs start out good and he's having a great year. My only thing is like if that happens, then like why did it take 2 months of Ian Happ production in 2023 for you guys to just pay him or whatever? But
the problem with that is that Jed Hoyer has already said he doesn't want to negotiate during October during the World Series. He doesn't want to negotiate before winter meetings. Doesn't want to negotiate during the holidays. He doesn't want to negotiate during spring training. And once spring training's over, they're done negotiating. So they used the 6 to 8 days that they have to negotiate to sign Nico Horner.
I believe it's
I don't think we're going to have an opportunity to see Ian Happ anymore.
Hold on. Right now, you guys seriously want them to. So if you're looking at Ian Happ, go take a look. Do me a favor. Look up the 2024 free agent class. I'm going to give it to you. Seiya Suzuki and a big pile of shit. That's the 2024.
Wait.
So there's no way.
Seiya? You mean Ohtani?
Ohtani. Sorry, I've had a few. Shohei Ohtani. What's going to end up happening here is this. You have to sit here and you're going to tell me that, no way, Ian Happ is going to make a lot of cash this offseason, and the Cubs are fine with that. They're going to let him go. He had one All-Star season, and you want to give him, what do you want to give him, 6-7 years? I don't know about that, man.
I think it would be more like what would be a fair contract for Ian
Nick
Happ?
Castellanos is the comp that everybody looks at. I don't think they want to do that, not with the guys that they have coming up in the minors, not with Canario, not with PCA, and not with Brendan. I just don't think they're going to do that.
So I agree with you, Crawley. I just wanted to point out that Jed Hoyer has limited negotiations with teams, with players to 1 week out of every year.
It's absolutely true, though. I don't know. I think future Kansas City Royal Ian Happ.
That makes sense. I like it. I like it.
A beer for all 9 innings.
Yeah. We should plug that beer. Club 400 beer. Crawley's on his 17th now.
How do I get Club 400 beer in Oregon? I need to have some.
We need to
had you come
drive
to
it there.
Party and you got stuck at O'Hare or something. You remember that?
Have you ever seen a
Danny was
Smokey
my
and the
ride,
Bandit
and
movie?
he had COVID. So I
Yeah.
didn't know how to get to wherever it is you were.
Yeah, I was gonna pick you up, but unfortunately, COVID got in the way of that.
So I was at the airport, and I'm like, so I
Well,
went home.
Hey, Crowley, Crowley, I want to be your +1 next time you're at Club 400, all right? I'll be your date.
Michael, I was thinking about you. I was in Arkansas and I found a pizza place that played nothing but Dead music and had beer. I'm like, I need Michael Cantor next to me, drinking beer, talking Dead and Cubs.
Absolutely.
So, Cody, you guys are throwing a pregame party tomorrow with the CHGO crowd.
Yeah.
Is that correct? It's at a place called Country Club.
Yeah, it's right down Clark. Right
Time's
across
that
the
start?
street. Say that again.
What time does that start?
The pregame show starts at 11. But I've been telling my friends and anyone else I've told about it to, show up anytime before that. I know I'm going to get there sometime between 10 and 10:30. So, all it is we're doing our pregame show for tomorrow's game. They're live. It's the first live show we've done, which is exciting. And then, well, I think there's drink specials and food and everything. It's free to go. There's a RSVP link on allchgo.com. And all you got to do is just say you're coming. We just want a decent knowledge of how many people are going to be there. So our show's like an hour long. So I think we're giving away like some shirts and we'll do some other cool stuff too. I don't really know all the details, but I'm just going to show up and I'm going to act like I know what I'm talking about. So.
That's what podcasting is.
Yeah.
Can you ask Luke Stuckmeyer to revive Beer Money? Because I think that would be a hit.
We talk
And just
about it all
let
the
Crowley
time, to be
run
honest.
it because he already knows all the trivia.
You just
It's
gotta
fine.
you gotta call it something different because I'm sure they own that name.
Well,
we've talked about it like in a way, reviving it in a way. We just I think we just need more people. We're a startup, so like we just need more people. So whenever we get to a point where we have more people to help do that, I think we could do it.
Well, we've got a little game show that we've got going on this show, and it's called the Bitch Clock.
Yeah.
So, Cody, I'm going to put you in the Bitch Clock seat first.
Yes.
And and I'm gonna share my screen here. We had Michael Cerami going on about Boog. He spun the wheel and got Boog. We'll take him off the list. We've already bitched about him, and so I'm gonna spin the wheel here. Can you see this?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, good. Let's see what you get.
Pincus is always
So here we go. Your category to bitch about is spending money to only be average.
Oh gosh.
Pretty much with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the bitch clock, and you can start your bitching. So here we go. I got to start at the beginning again. Here we go.
Bitch clock, you have 60 seconds to bitch.
Oh my God. Okay. So I know I think the Cubs can win 88 games, but it's a very, very optimistic outlook. And I'm tired of just, either looking really smart or really dumb. And in the last couple of years, it's just been really dumb. So I need the Cubs to start spending some money. I've given Ricketts all my money so many times. We should be investing in Shohei Ohtani this offseason. No matter what, give him whatever he wants. Give him whatever he wants. Shohei Ohtani would bring so much to the city of Chicago. I legitimately do not care how much you have to give him. It is just Tom Ricketts' money. I will not complain about however much money you give him. He is literally the all-time, at least in my lifetime, someone that I can clearly say that I would give whatever. So stop spending, 2 years for Mancini, all this. Thank God for Swanson, but give me Ohtani. Spend some real money, Tom.
There you go. Spend the damn money. Stop.
For the record, this does not count against my allowance. I had nothing to do with this.
No, it does not. Yeah, IFG has a quota per show that she's only allowed to mention the Cubs signing Ohtani once. What is it? Once per show?
Once a week, I think you told me.
After
and I think the Discord counts. So
after I watched him in the World Baseball Classic, specifically against Mike Trout, I was like, make him a Cub tomorrow. I already knew he was great, but on
just
that
give him
stage,
taking the team. I'm fine with it. I don't care how much it is. It's not my. Just do it.
in that moment on that type
doesn't
of
count either.
stage, like that's a guy that can change a franchise. So give me
He
Ohtani.
certainly didn't change. How is it that the Angels have the two best players that ever lived and they can't even make the playoffs? Like, what is going on there? Like,
They're allergic to
really
being
just-
successful.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's so weird. So, would somebody else like to take a seat in the bitch clock? How about you, Crawley? Michael, who wants to go next?
Crawley,
Crawley, you in?
Can I bitch about Wilson Contreras? I hate that piece of shit.
You know what? I will add him to the bitch. I will add him to the bitch clock wheel.
I have the best song too. I Hate Everything About You by Ugly Kid Joe. That's what.
Oh,
you should
see,
play
just
when you walk the
spin up the clock. Let him pick.
I'm putting Wilson Contreras on the bitch clock. Hopefully, you'll get lucky. And so I'm gonna give this sucker a spin again, and we'll see what we get in the bitch clock. This is my favorite thing we do now. I just love spinning the wheel.
So close.
Oh,
All right. This one's for. I think this one's for Crawley though.
Yeah.
Service time manipulation. We're gonna start the bitch clock. That's yours, Crawley.
Bitch clock.
Well, actually, you get a mulligan. You want a mulligan?
Oh, give me a mulligan. Didn't they fix that
All right.
service time manipulation in the last CBA?
No, they did not.
Here we go. We'll give you a mulligan on it.
Mulligan on
All
that
right.
shit.
All right. Well, let's see what we get. We get. This one's good. This one's really for Bleacher Jeff, but season ticket holders from Iowa who maybe come to 20 games a year. that is the Bleacher Jeff bitch clock moment. So we've got. All right, you ready? I'm going to start the bitch clock.
Seconds to bitch.
Look, I'm sick and tired of these fuckers from Iowa taking the seats of good old-fashioned Cub fans. They think that they can come here and act like they own the fucking place. Those assholes probably do the wave as well. But let me tell you something. There are rules at Wrigley Field, and if you want to call it gatekeeping, fine. I'm the motherfucking gatekeeper. You don't sleep. You don't sit in Bleacher Jeff's seat. You don't make stupid-ass Cub snakes, and you sure as hell don't sit there and do the wave at Wrigley. So here's the thing. If you're from Iowa, you got a baseball team over there. They're called the Iowa Cubs. Stay there. Do not take Bleacher Jeff's seats. He gets very upset. He's very sensitive about it. He expects that seat to be open and dry. Usually Danny does that for him. He has a little towel. He kind of wipes it down for him, make sure there's no dust or shit like that. And then he can sit his ass down on his seat and make sure that nobody's there. So if you only come to 20 games, you're not allowed in the bleachers in Jeff's seats. Period. End of story. I'm fucking done.
Stop your bitching.
Stop your bitching.
Very nice.
This is my favorite segment on any show I've ever been on.
It really
Well,
is.
and as a person from Iowa, I will go on record as saying right field's better anyway. So just sit over there and fucking eat your Jeff to himself.
You take right field and make all the cup snakes you want there, Michael.
Wow.
No problem.
The audacity to say that.
So, Michael Cantor, it's your turn to sit in the bitch clock seat, and let's see what.
Give me
what
Wilson. Give me Wilson.
I mean, we might have to I might have to put my thumb on the scale. And look what it is. It's the same
season ticket holders.
Well,
from Iowa.
and because of that, I think you get to just do Wilson Contreras. What do you think, judges?
Fine with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I want to hear
You
this.
have 60 seconds to bitch.
So first of all, the song they should play when he comes to bat is "I Hate Everything About You" by Ugly Kid Joe. Wilson Contreras has proved to be the biggest piece of shit. I hate him more than any Cub since ex-Cub now, since Kenny Holtzman. The guy's talking about how Yadier Molina is his hero, and he was born to be a Cardinal, and he was here when the Cubs won the World Series, and he was a great personality, and I loved Wilson. 2016 to 2021 Wilson, I love to death. 2022 Wilson is a hack. I hope he bats 200 this year. I hope he hits like 5 home runs, drives in 28 runs. And I hope to God that every time he comes to bat in St. Louis, Cardinals fans are booing the shit out of him. Like I just can't stand the guy. And I hope the Cubs beat the Cardinals every goddamn game this year just to stick it up his ass. That's all I have to say about it.
I love how you were specific about the RBI. Like, you're like, and 26 ribbies. That's all he gets. Oh, that's freaking brilliant.
I'm with you, Michael.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't have to go down there and start crying. I mean, it's one thing to say, I'm really happy to be part of St. Louis. It's a great city. Can't wait to be part of it. Such a great franchise. But that's not what he did. He went up there and said, they're better than the Cubs. The Cubs are garbage. They don't know how to run a baseball team. And, I get it. He was pissed. But, now
I absolutely get it. If I was Wilson Contreras, good God, if I was Wilson Contreras would be that good at anything. But fucking, if I went down there and Jed Hoyer and Tom Ricketts acted like pieces of shit the whole time I was there, fucking dangled me all over the place and didn't trade me and just left me hanging, yeah, I'd go there too. And then I would fucking rub it in their faces every goddamn second I could, because fuck Jed Hoyer and Tom Ricketts and what they did with Wilson Contreras. If I was down there,
they had a trade for him, right, with the Astros, and Dusty Baker, said, "Hey, we don't want him."
Jose Urquidy, you just saw him in the World Baseball Classic. He totally fucked it up. No, I mean, you know what, man? There's a lot of. I'm going to put it this way. There's things about Wilson that have been going around for a while, and they didn't want him for a specific reason, and he's not here anymore. So let him wear his Yadi Molina cleats and his Yadi Molina cup and enjoy his time in St. Louis. I'll tell you this, you want to fucking
23 RBIs.
You want to be careful you don't burn bridges when you walk out of here. So you had a guy in Dexter Fowler who showed you how to do it. He comes back, and now he gets to be on marquee and smiling and having a lot of fun. You know what? It's not a big deal. We understand it's a business. We understand there's hurt feelings. That happens, man. Just don't be an ass. You don't have to take it to the 10th degree. That's all.
Right. My pushback to what you're saying.
I'm happy with 85 million. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
My pushback to what you're saying is just it goes back basically what just Crawley would said is that I feel like he could have gone about it a lot differently. Because what if things don't go well in St. Louis? You think the Cubs are going to just welcome you back after everything he said? Maybe, time heals, no doubt.
They still haven't let Sammy Sosa back. I mean, come on.
I was just gonna bring up Sammy Sosa.
Fair. To me,
doesn't fucking
Sorry,
matter.
Sammy is the reason I'm here, and he's still not allowed back.
Yeah. No, and that's a travesty too. Don't get me started. I mean, whenever the news breaks and the first thing he posts is some stupid article from the Players Tribune saying that, with the first sentence saying that Yadier Molina is his hero, fuck you, dude. You were in this organization for 14 years, and I understand we gave you a bunch of standing ovations already, and we, basically said goodbye a bunch of times, but that just rubs me the wrong way. I
don't want to throw anybody under the bus here, but Danny fucking Rocket has advocated for getting Yadier Molina on the Cubs for the last 2 years.
Oh, I thought it would be
fucking loves Yachty, and nobody's giving him shit.
I thought there would.
I didn't know that. Danny, are you
saying
that just to piss off Cardinal fans?
Yeah, well, that, and also he's the greatest catcher that ever lived. I mean, Hall of Fame shoe-in
for balls stuck to his chest.
I'm big into Jason Kendall, and so I'm big into Yachty. They're pretty similar.
Do you guys notice that they put the new rule in about checking the catchers for sticky stuff after Yachty retires?
Oh yeah,
that was wonderful.
Huh?
And I'm sure they're going to start testing for whatever Pujols was taken last year too.
Objectively, is there a single move that would have been funnier than the Cubs signing Yadier Molina? Is there anything on earth that would have pissed off more people simultaneously?
It's like when Ron Santo was a White Sox for a year. It's just it never should have happened, but it did.
Traded for Steve Stone.
Or who was the guy we had? Jim Edmonds. How awful was that?
I was getting ready to say that. Jim Edmonds, I guess I got to experience that a little bit. Yeah.
That was I didn't experience the Rod Santo thing. I think I was 1 or something when that happened. But it's still funny that it happened.
there's a lot of Cubs that did become Cardinals, and in fact, most people block it out. Rick Sutcliffe, Lee Smith, Dexter Fowler. There's a lot, man. Just don't be a
Suter.
Bruce Suter. Don't be a dick, and they'll welcome you back as a conquering hero when you retire at Cubs convention. They'll give you the cushy little TV job. They'll do all that shit. Just shut your mouth is all you got to do.
But maybe he doesn't want that.
Fine, then don't. And here's the thing.
Then fucking say whatever he fucking wants. I would fucking blast this. In fact, I do, and I have nothing to do with the Cubs. I blast this fucking front office and this ownership group every goddamn week.
Here's what you're going to do. Here's what you're going to do. The first time that the Cardinal fans get mad at Wilson because he didn't do it the Cardinal way, and then when Wilson gets ass hurt, because you know he did, you know he got mad at Kaplan, you know he got mad at how many fucking people out here. He's nothing more. He's thin-skinned in a business that you
blocked everybody on Twitter, including me.
And I was defending him.
Oh, no way.
So here's the thing. Watch what happened to Dexter Fowler. How long did it take the Cardinal fans to treat him like absolute dog shit? Took him about
5
30
minutes.
seconds.
Yep.
So wait until Wilson is not the second coming of Yadier Molina. Wait till you see how they turn. And that's fine then, Wilson. Then you can sit there and you can be in the loving embrace of the Morans in St. Louis. Don't come running back here. How about that?
Well, you guys, I wish you all just a really awesome year. I know we're all out there talking about the Cubs. We're all doing the same thing. We all come together at Wrigley Field. We'll definitely be on each other's shows. I know I've been on everybody's show. I'm on everybody's shows, everybody's podcasts, and you guys are always on my stuff too. I just love the Cubs fan community. I love what we're doing. As a group coming together like this.
Anywhere.
Well, yeah. Well, Michael, you're a special case. You know what I mean? So definitely check out CHGO. Check out the Fly the W podcast. Go to club400cubs.com. And what else am I missing? The rundown on Cubs Insider.
I don't want to step on Michael here, but don't forget that Club 400 is having a giveaway. It's a special thing that we do to honoring Heather Holloway, who passed away from cancer. We ask people to come that have a story for somebody that's really deserving of a VIP roll out the red carpet day that Club 400 will do. So if anyone knows anybody that's just going through a real tough time and could really just enjoy a day off at Wrigley Field, and they've done it before, and they have the greatest, the people, like there's videos if you go to Club 400's YouTube page where you get to see some of the recipients of the Honoring Heather Award. It's really awesome. So if you know somebody that's just in a tough situation and maybe going to Wrigley's just not in the budget, or they just need a day off to get some shit out of their way, go to Club 400 on Twitter, go follow them on Facebook, and come check it out, because it's really one of the best things that Club 400 does.
Yeah, here's a picture actually that I grabbed of the event. Here's Stuart, and they brought Herbie out to the ballpark, who's a kid that has had some health issues, and so this is Club 400's mission. It's Cub fans helping Cubs fans, and raise the goal is to raise $1 million for charity, and you're more than halfway there right now. Justin Steele's going to be there April 6th, and I believe there's maybe some tickets left. I'm not sure, but
get them quick because they're about done.
And also, we have another friend named Heather Linington Noble, who is also facing a pretty tough road right now. She has cancer, and she actually started the show with us tonight. She started at 7:00 when we started the show, and I'm dropping some links in the chat that's all about helping Heather. There's a couple of places that you can donate, a couple things that she needs that are on her Amazon wish list. So please help her out if you can. She's an Orioles fan who came on our show, gave us all some great advice about going to Baltimore last year, and she's facing a tough road. So, it's not just about Cub fans helping Cub fans. As the family grows, it's just baseball fans, and then it's just people, and then, it's just trying to do the right thing for each other. So thanks to everybody that's helping out, and but definitely check out Club 400. But I wish you guys an awesome year. The one I was trying to mention at the end was Michael Cantor, Cubs Insider, every day doing the rundown. That's every day you're doing that, correct?
Yeah, most days. Like, I didn't do one this morning because I was out a little too late with my coworkers in Dallas last night. So
fair.
But usually, every day, yeah.
Wait, you didn't do a rundown of that amazing game yesterday?
I had about I'm not even supposed to be drinking, but I had a ton of that Hershey's chocolate porter.
Ooh.
Oh my god!
Holy
it was
shit,
so
the Brady
good.
went crazy, man. Everything's all.
So you're breaking up a little bit, Carly. You got to get the hamsters to start spinning that internet wheel for you.
But Yingling
So,
Hershey's porter.
Yes, that's what I had. On
Delicious.
tap last night. Actually, as soon as we're done here, I'm going back to that place to have a couple more.
Well, then
man,
I
that
can totally understand skipping it, because with a bad hangover, you would not be able to do the research required to figure out who is on that field.
It
was all silhouettes on the MLB.com.
I think they punted on the season when they cut Tauchman. I think that was a key move to say, hey, you know what, we're playing for 24. So
well, thank you all for coming on the show. We're going to come right back. I've got a very special guest, an old friend, and also the bass player of the Bleacher Bum Band. He's coming on, my Jared Gable, otherwise known as The Guy Serious. And then we're going to have some very funny comedians who are fans of all the other NL Central teams except for the Cardinals. We couldn't find a funny person that was talented enough to come on the show who was also
Way
a Cardinals
too boring down there.
Yeah, way too boring. There's not funny people, but we do have a Reds fan, a Pirates fan, and what's that other team? The Brewers. I always forget about them being a baseball team. Yeah.
Hey,
So,
Danny, before I go, I wanted to let you know there's this guy at my gym. He's always wearing Cubs gear. He has like a Cubs drawstring bag. And I see him every day that I'm there. And this happened like a month ago, but I got the guts to just walk up to him and ask him, like, hey, do you listen to any Cubs podcasts? Because literally every day that he's there, he's wearing Cubs gear. So it's like he's clearly a huge Cubs fan.
One of us.
And
One of us.
And he tells me, yeah, I listen to the Son Ranto Show. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, Danny is a great dude. I love that guy. And this was the last time I will ever do this. I was like, you ever heard of CHGO Cubs? And he's like, yeah, I think so. And he didn't know who I was, though. So I was just like, I was in my head thinking, no, you definitely haven't. But that's fine. But I wanted to let you know that he said your show. So your show is just as big as everyone else's. And I appreciate you for always having me on and conversing and all that stuff, dude.
no, you're the best, man. I love talking to you, and I love hanging out with you in the bleachers too. And he would have heard of your show if you would have said Chuggo, because that's what I call it on this show.
We absolutely call it
Chuggo
Chuggo.
show.
Yeah, well, if he's listening or watching right now, hopefully I look familiar to you, man.
And hey, if you guys last 11 seasons, you might have some random dude in a gym somewhere that listens to you.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right,
I mean,
man.
that's the
honestly high
level
praise.
we're at now. Random dudes in gyms.
It's my favorite. It's honestly my favorite thing. Just seeing like two people from these like incredibly niche parts of the internet that meet in the wild. It's incredible. Like, what are the odds? There's 7 billion people in the world, and 2 people who know what this show is were in the same room at the same time working out on purpose.
And at a gym, that's even rare.
Right?
Yeah,
it's not our people.
I wasn't expecting him to say my show, but when he said yours, I was like, all right, this guy is clearly a diehard if he's been listening to you guys' show.
Yeah, this guy.
We love you, random guy at the gym.
He's sweating out whiskey. Yeah.
Somebody's out there watching the show right now going, he did.
Am I the random guy at the gym? Yes, it's you. I love you too.
So we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to do all the things I said about 10 minutes ago that we were going to do. So thank you, Cody. Thank you, Michael. And we'll catch you on the flip side of this commercial.
Hey, Cubs fans, at Amazon.com, do you buy lots of stuff? Why not support the Son Ranto Show by shopping through sonranto.com/stuff? All you gotta do is fill your cart at Amazon with lots of stuff. Then before you check out with all of that wonderful stuff, head on over to sonranto.com/stuff and click any of our Amazon links before you buy your stuff. Check out like you normally would with all that beautiful stuff. And the Son Ranto Show will get a small kickback because of the stuff you bought. and you'll be helping the Son Ranto Show buy all the we need to stay on the air, talking about the Cubs and other stuff. Plus, you could win a monthly prize if some of your is chosen for Amazon stuff of the month. And if you win, we'll send you more stuff. Sonranto.com/stuff. That address again is sonranto.com/stuff.
Yeah, yes, we all unfortunately shop at Amazon. So if you shop at Amazon, go to sonranto.com/stuff, click our link, and we get just a tiny kickback, help keep the show on the air. Also, hashtag chance in the chat. I keep forgetting to say that. Hashtag chance in the chat. You could win a Frank Chance postcard sent to you by me with a message of love and doom. Once again, we are giving away this opening day is a holiday obvious shirt. We're giving one of these away. We're also giving a Wilson Contreras art piece away to a Patreon subscriber. Subscribe now to be entered to win it tonight. Patreon.com/sonranto. Real quick, and I want to stay as on time as I can because we got all the comedian fans from the NL Central coming up. But I guess Bleacher Jeff forgot. Hopefully he's still alive because we need him tomorrow to play guitar. But I wanted to bring the guy Sirius onto the show, the bass player for the Bleacher Bum Band. And hi, Jarrett.
Hey.
Welcome to the Son Ranto Show. It's been a moment since you've been on.
Yeah, it's great to be here. I'm so excited for the season.
How's it going, Jared?
It's going good, Michael. Nice to see you.
Yeah.
And so I got to say, it's so awesome to be in a band with you. And I want to kind of give the backstory of how you and I got back together. So, first of all, here's a picture of me and Jarrett when we were much younger. And our friend, that's either Charlie or Steve Rose. We don't know which one because they were twins. And in the middle of us, but there I am, my little, they called me Spanky back then. Obviously, I was like a little fat kid. There's my camp shirt I got on. And then there's Jarrett, which I love the t-shirt you're wearing. Joe Camel.
Very appropriate for kids.
This is what the 80s was like, kids. In case you're wondering what it looked like. It looked exactly like this.
Our parents gave us their like camel bucks and their Marlboro dollars so that we could buy their fucking advertising.
That's how they clothed us.
Yeah.
So we
kids.
So we were friends from way back here. And then you moved to Crystal Lake, but before that, we had gone to we were about 13, 14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And we went with my mom to Milwaukee, and because she had a work trip there. And my mom said, hey, look, that it was actually August 9th of 1988. And the reason I know this is because the first night game was rained out the night before at Wrigley Field. And I knew, and me and Jarrett were going to go to this baseball game in Milwaukee and see the Red Sox versus the Brewers when the Brewers were back in the American League. We had one of the most wild adventures and babysitting nights of all time at age 13.
It was a double header all of a sudden, and so it became a very late night naturally.
We missed the last bus and basically had to walk through a Milwaukee with Dahmer prowling around. Like it was rough stuff. We were scared. We were so scared, but we were so excited too. And it's just that. So that's me and Jarrett back then. We lose touch with each other for 30 some odd years. Okay. Some weird guy rings my bell. I think it's religious people. And I look down, from my window, and I'm like, I'm not going down there. It's like a Sunday. I'm like, who are these weird church coming to my house? You're like, I didn't throw shit at you, right? So, but it's a note. A note is left saying, hey, you probably don't remember me, but this is Jarrett, and I lived in your neighborhood. I was like, of course I remember. You had that wild night in Milwaukee. I could never gonna forget that night.
I mentioned it, I think.
Yeah, you mentioned it, and I was like, this seems legit. Like, very few people would know about this night. of getting lost in Milwaukee. So anyway, that is our backstory. Turns out you're still a big Cubs fan. I'm still a big Cubs fan. Turns out you play bass. Turns out we need a bass player. Like it was just all these things. So after knowing each other since age 10, losing each other for 30 years, we now play rock and roll, the Bleacher Bum Band together and love on the Cubs. It's amazing. It's an incredible story, and it's worth knowing about.
Yeah, it's really fun, and it shows you that you never know when you might reconnect with somebody, And what I was just thinking tonight is that both of our mothers play organ in the church, which is also a very random thing that, when you had your mom playing there. But yeah, man, it's great playing with you. You are such a skilled singer, and you were always, now I sound like I'm going to fluff you on your show, but you were always singing as a kid, and you were a great singer then. And so it didn't surprise me that you had done a career of singing and done other stuff. So it was cool to meet back up with you. And now I could do something musically, and we could actually do it together. It's great.
Yeah, it's awesome. And it's another reason to come see our band tomorrow, because we've got that kind of like deep connects. And we got a new drummer who's awesome, Tony Two Toms. He was supposed to be here. Now I don't know where him or Bleacher Jeff is. Hopefully they didn't get in a terrible SEO accident at work, because that's what they do, search engine optimization. I know it can be dangerous work.
Accident.
Yes, is that in mine workers like some of the most dangerous things you could do. But I wanted to surprise you with this, Jared. Here is the two kind of box scores from that doubleheader that day. We actually watched Roger Clemens lose in 1988, and then is that Mike Boddicker maybe in the win for? Yeah, I'm not sure. So anyway, this is, and I noticed the times on these games. One was 2 hours and 30 minutes. Right. Which is, we're going to see a lot of that this year. And then the other one was a more respectable 3:03.
Yeah. It was, it was strange being in Milwaukee at that age and experiencing the seventh inning stretch of the roll out the barrel. It was a whole different thing than we were used to, it being Cub fans, and they had the word Torero. I still don't think that's a real word.
Zing, boom, Torero.
Yeah, I don't think that's a word. And it was Oak County Stadium, and I'll never forget, we were behind the plate up in the upper deck, and there was a step next to us that was so slippery, and people kept slipping on this step and spilling more food onto the step, making it slipperier. And, as kids, what are we supposed to do? We just sat there 5-10 feet away every time laughing, but what we're supposed to do, warn people not to step there. You couldn't say that. So yeah, it was a very fun night. Scary at times in Milwaukee, bad neighborhoods and no buses, but we made it through. So we're all the better.
You know what, Jared, if you would like to stay on, I'd like to, you can leave if you got to leave. I know you have a very young baby and a big, we got a big show tomorrow. You need your sleep. You gotta come out swing with the bass. So, but maybe somebody can, I'll bring him on first. Somebody can answer the question of what Torero means. And that's Eric Wheelo, our Brewers expert. Eric, we're going to bring you on first. Now, where is that? Is that like a localism, Torero, or is that just like, cause you couldn't think of anything better to ride with barrel?
Yeah, I mean, we're just a bunch of drunk Germans, and we write everything pretty much hammered at this point. They look like Jared with that mustache. I mean, you could be Jared Terrell for all I know at this point, dude.
It does look like a Terrell mustache.
It's like your wife calls you, you're hammered. It's like, where are you at? I'm like, I'm at the bar, Terrell. I don't know, man. When am I going to see you? Terrell.
Exactly. It makes sense down there. So welcome.
As 13-year-olds, we just weren't hammered enough.
Oh, right. You don't start drinking at 13 in Chicago? Jesus, guys, catch up.
Yeah, I don't know what we're doing here.
Well, unfortunately, I think we did start drinking at 13, but it was more out of like our friends like swinger, like remember Eric Otterstrom had that swinger mom, and she had that locked door that we could break into, and there was booze and porn back there. Yeah. So that's how we knew that's how we survived Milwaukee, because we already had seen some stuff. But
she was down there swinging or taking care of the kids, bringing her to a game, guys.
I don't know. We never actually saw her. We just saw our secret locker room. She wasn't around much, I don't think. But
hey guys, you gotta be sex positive, you know.
So I'm gonna make this almost like we're on Fox News or CNN and bring on yet another head. And next up, Billy DeVore, a famous Reds fan of the inventor of the Chick-fil Rosa, seen pictured right here, which is, don't tell him, but it's a chicken parm sandwich, but it's the same thing. And then there's also the Sky Rosa, which is your first conglomeration that came together for you, which is a slice of pizza with a.
Is that a hot dog wrapped in a pizza with?
Yes.
Hold on.
Hold on. Let me see if I can guess. With Skyline chili and cheese.
Boom.
Yeah. I did not invent that. That has been around since 2010. I need to get this straight because I have been attacked on social media. And thank you for having me on the Spin Zone. I'm very happy to be here.
It does look like that, doesn't it? Let's see how many people we can fit in this room.
Yeah.
Here's a newcomer to the show. We're actually just all meeting for the first time, I believe, unless Billy, you've met him.
Nope.
No, so we're all meeting for the first time. We don't even know. He could be an absolute serial killer. But here's Zach Funk. Welcome to the show, Zach.
Hi, Zach.
Hey, Zach.
Here.
Very
Are you
funny
a serial
comedian.
killer? First question.
First question.
I don't do it actively enough for it to be serial. I think you gotta like.
Good answer. Good answer. We can roll with that.
I just want to thank.
To develop is the point.
I don't have that kind of commitment. I'm sorry.
I just want to thank the comedians.
Task management around here.
We all got the memo where our hats will be on the bottom shelf here.
I wore my 2015 Pirates postseason shirt the last time we were relevant.
Yeah, I'd like to personally apologize, except for that's one of the greatest games I ever went to.
I know. Oh, so wait, were you at that were you at that game too?
I was. Zach, I've got a bone to pick with your fan base because I was sitting in pretty decent seats, and you'd think you're safe down there. Not in Pittsburgh, you're not safe down there, because towards the end of the game, you know how they sell those like 22-ounce, 24-ounce Yinglings in the cans? Okay. So I'm like down there, maybe, I don't know, 30 rows back, pretty decent seats, like downstairs. So I think I'm safe. All of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I see this spinning, nearly full Yingling can flying at my head, like, you know, at the beginning of 2001 or whatever that movie is, when, you know, that thing's going through outer space. And I just see it. And yeah, the monolith, and like a freaking ninja, I just see this thing and I swat it away last minute, and I saved my own life. Really, is what happened there. You know, and I was like, man, that is an almost full beer. There's no way a Cub fan is throwing a $15 beer at your head. So
reflexes like that, you could be our shortstop. So keep that in mind.
What's interesting is that there's somebody who is sitting right in front of Danny that tells a story totally different. They're like, I'm just sitting there watching the game. I get hit in the back of the head with a fucking beer can. I turn around. There's this fucking Cubs fan right there beating me with beer cans all the time.
Well, also, Danny can't be shortstop for the Pirates because he's about a foot too short.
Yeah. that postseason game was such a weird experience. I wrote this whole bit about it. It's on my album, even about how like watching the Pirates fans go through the 5 stages of grief at this baseball game when they realized they were losing.
Oh yeah, Jake carried a lights out at that one.
Oh yeah, it was done.
Yeah. So one more guy I'm going to bring on, and he's not from the NL. He's not from the NL Central, but he's one of Eric and my best friend. Like, you know, we've known this guy for years and years and years. One of my oldest, dearest friends, another drummer, and great.
I thought you were going to
musician.
say drunk.
Yeah, drummer and drunk. Anyway, I can't say enough about how much I love Johnny Onomatopoeia. I know Eric's the same way. We've been hanging out for years and years and years. Johnny O to go on the show in his Walgreens. Oh, no, wait, sorry. That's a Nationals hat. Yeah, sorry.
It's the Curly W.
Oh, wow.
I'm here to make this round table square.
Quickly, however it works.
So welcome to the show. Welcome to Frontline. Love having you on. And, you know, I wanted to do this kind of roundtable, bring in the other members of other teams because let's face it, our division is total dog shit. Johnny, you're on the show. Your team was the worst in the major leagues last year. You probably didn't even watch towards the end because they forgot they were even a team. But the front runner, we'll start with you, Eric, because you're the Cardinals are the front runner. We all hate the Cardinals. We don't want one of those fans on this show. But Eric, I guess you guys are picked second. And then the Cubs are
you
picked
guess
third.
or because we are picked second, and
We're in denial, Eric.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see it. Like,
You're
do
a
you see it?
wild
Like,
card. Your
here's
pick is a wild card or something.
Here's why you're going to lose, because you got a lot of guys in the last year of your contract, and if you're not competing early enough in this season, they're gonna start selling off pieces because there's no way they're gonna resign. Like, who do you got? What contracts do you have coming up?
Well, it's not the last year of contracts; it's the last 2 years of a arbitration deal, which means it's essentially a 1-year contract. Like you're saying, if the team isn't good, you want to sell that player 2 years before, as opposed to the year of. You're going to get a lot more, quality prospects back, better players. So
hold on, Eric, hold on. I don't think I understand what you're talking about. We're Cubs fans.
Yeah, of course.
That kind of shit doesn't happen. They just let them walk around here.
You guys are like a soap opera, man. You just kept characters around season to season. You wouldn't kill anybody off, dude. You just wouldn't let them go, dude. It was sad.
Then they brought him back.
Yeah. But
I have a divorce arc.
things left and right.
Yeah, I mean, it has been pure controversy.
And disappear for a whole season. And then...
Oh, I've just been sitting here. I've just been loving every second of it. I've been loving the last 3 years of this shit. Just to see you guys go from this cocky, we're off the World Series, we're going to win 3 in a row, we're going to win 2 out of 3, and then nothing. Just turmoil. Just crap after crap after crap. You treat players like dog shit. I mean, come on. Wilson Contreras coming out this year and talking shit on the Cubs? Guys, I've been telling you for 5 years this guy's been an asshole. And now
Put
you're
Eric
just
on the
figuring it
bitch
out?
clock. Put him on
And
the bitch
now you're
clock.
just figuring this out. You're like, oh, every time you play Wilson Contreras, you hit him. Well, the guy's been a dick the entire time. You're going to go out in that first series, and you're going to freaking eye-hole that guy. You're going to put it right at his head, guys. I think Cubs Nation here, because I've been watching the podcast. I heard Crawley bitching, complaining. A guy went off. He had a nervous breakdown. Basically said he was going to hit his wife if he showed up to Cubs Stadium. I mean, Wrigley Field. So I think if I deserve anything from Cubs Nation right now is an apology for everybody that was a Wilson Contreras apologist this entire time. I just want you all to come out and just tell me that I was right. When we hit him, he deserved it, and you guys know that this guy's a piece of shit. Can I get that from these Cubs fans on this podcast?
Well, now you can.
This one.
Yeah, you can get it from me. No, I mean, I think. Listen, I'm blocked by Wilson Contreras on Twitter, so I don't have a whole lot of love for that guy. I kind of deserved it because he was DMing a porn star, and I made fun of it during his Q&A session. So, that'll get you blocked. You know what I mean? Right. So, but he's thin-skinned. Everybody kind of knew this about him.
Thin-skinned? Have you been listening to yourselves for the last 3 hours here?
He's got very tough skin.
On one side.
Brewers have beamed him so often, he has calluses.
So guys, you are so into now. He's thin-skinned. Guys, come on now. I got to be honest with you. He said the Cardinals are a better franchise than the Cubs. Is he wrong? I don't think
he's not wrong. No,
he's not wrong.
Probably not. Yeah.
He's not wrong at this point. And, you guys are butt sore.
But nobody was asking him.
Nobody, actually, lots of, I don't know, down there.
It's very much a nobody's allowed to beat up my baby brother but me situation.
Exactly.
Okay?
I just want to know.
Contreras, he always likes to play angry, right? So he has to be intense. He has to be angry. So when he's on your team, it's fine because he's never angry at your team too much,
Yeah.
But of course, he shows it so quickly. It almost seems like he couldn't deal with the emotional side of having to see his former team and former fans. So he just got angry. It's like one of those breakups where you make a fight just to break up, and stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
It's kind
he was even like, I want them to hate me. It's like, you can't ask for people to hate you, baby. You got to earn that.
Right,
I'll tell you,
he did.
You
I'll
start
tell you
hitting
what.
them just like everybody else, and you feel good about it. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I hate the Cardinals, and I didn't think there'd be anybody that would get me to root for him. But the way Wilson's been talking about you guys, I'm starting to see the side of the Cardinals. I got to be honest with you.
I think we're all focusing on the wrong thing here. We need to figure out what new slurs Cardinal fans are going to say to Wilson Contreras.
Oh boy,
they're coming.
They will let us know soon enough.
Yeah,
The
I
only
know. I
nice thing
can't
about
wait.
Eric on this
So-
podcast is it's a night that he's not screaming slurs into that gamer headset of his.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you just say you were going to bang my mom?
Yelling at-
on some level, I just have to get in here and say this: that as a lifelong National League Central fan, it's just beautiful that all of us can come together against the Cardinals.
Yeah, it really is. Let's sing Kumbaya, should we?
Oh boy.
No,
Billy,
No.
but
Billy,
I do
Billy's-
appreciate you all individually. And Zach Funk, if nobody's ever told you, you look a little bit like my Thai guy, and it's freaking me out.
he
a little
really
bit.
does.
Actually, somebody in chat asked if my Thai guy was his dad. Right here.
Yeah, is my Thai guy? Yeah, because you look a lot
Oh,
like
wow.
a very famous Cubs fan named my Thai guy.
No,
This isn't a compliment.
I love my Thai guy personally, but also
no, my
he
dad's
steals
dead, so I
baseball
promise you that my
Yeah.
Thai guy is not my dad.
Okay. So, well, I want to bring
Sorry.
on Billy next because you're the next. Maybe you're the fourth place team. I don't know who I should give it to, Zach or Billy. Like, what do you think? Are you the fourth place or the fifth place team, Billy? And Zach, what do you think?
It depends on what reliever gets hurt next, to be honest. I mean, both of them, that's where we're at. That's going to separate us by 2 or 3 wins because it's a race for the bottom and a chase for the future. So, real excited that I've just been wasting my years watching this franchise rebuild. It's real great.
It explains the food photos, you know.
Yeah,
Thank you. I'm on the highway to cardiac arrest, baby.
Yeah, I thought the next photo would be your foot just no longer on your leg, dude.
Yeah, hold on. I took my
listened-
peg off by the door.
I listened to the most recent Nasty Boys podcast, and they spent 20 minutes on Skyline Nachos.
I think
Look,
I think
kind of
somebody
rebuild.
worked out. I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was Whitmire. I don't remember. I was only glancing, but somebody worked out that the opening day roster for the Cincinnati Reds worked out to about $20 million for this season.
And Ken Griffey Jr. is making $4 million of it. So yeah.
Hold on. 3.5. So let's get
Okay,
it straight here. Okay. Thank you.
Billy,
if you're
I think
going to
we
bash,
take
then
you all
straight.
more seriously.
I mean,
Trade plan.
20 million. That is half of a decent pitcher.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
Zach,
man.
you've got some nice young players, though. You got a few dudes coming up. They're starting to emerge a little bit. Are you feeling any excitement? Like, do you feel like there's any world in which the Pirates could even like be at least a thorn in the side of the Central?
It's really hard to get emotionally invested in any of the Pirates. Like, if you have abandonment issues, do not become a Pirates fan, because anyone you love will go away. Basically, is what it feels like a lot of the time. They spent the whole offseason trying to re-sign Brian Reynolds, and they still can't. It's just you really want to care, and you really want to just give a damn. And the biggest news of the offseason really was we got Andrew McCutchen back, who never should have left in the first place. He loved being here. He named his kid Steel, if I remember correctly. And people are acting like, great, we re-signed Kutch. They're going to reopen the mills. Everything's going to be great again.
I mean, I'm glad you got him back. He does belong there. Like, it feels like it, and I promise you every single day that Rich Hill is pitching, I will be a Pirates fan.
We have the oldest active player in baseball right now.
I love him.
Oh.
And the 2008 Cubs team is the most important team to me, and he is the last surviving member. So it's like, please take care of my Rich.
Yeah, and
Dick Mountain.
But yeah, like they re-signed Brian Hayes for I think it was like 7 or 8 years. But
Yeah, that was actually a big surprise to me.
It gives you a little bit of hope,
They don't sign anybody. So.
Yeah,
and he signed. I mean, that's a good sign.
Yeah, it gives you hope, but at the same time, like the last time we had like, oh, it seems like they're really putting stuff into the team and trying to give us hope was the big Chris Archer trade, where it was like, all right, here's all these prospects, we're not doing anything with them. Oh, what? They're all stars now? Great.
Yeah, and then now I will give you some hope is that our friend Johnny Onomatopoeia that's here, wearing his Walgreens hat, is a fan of one of the worst team. Well, it was the worst team last year. They only 55 wins. Like that's like Cleveland Spiders bad back in like the one of the.
That's really bad. You never want to be compared to the Cleveland Spiders.
No, and it happens. This is the third time today, and so. A lot of spider references.
Damn.
Here's the thing, though. Go ahead, Dan.
Were you even able to watch the games? Like, because it was just it's so abysmal that it wasn't even worth tuning in for.
No, sincerely, I did not watch last season. Eric and I shared an MLB account, and I sent him an email in January saying, I will not be paying my half this year, so you can cancel it. But there is...
I truly respect that.
There is a little bit of hope because, we traded Juan Soto at the deadline, and we have his brother who is 17 in our pipeline. It's all about the pipeline. And we also have Spanish conquistador Hernando Di Soto, Dr. Di Soto talks to animals, and Soto Mayor. So we're really building our franchise along a pipeline of Soto.
Getting Mackenzie Gore was great. I mean, getting Mackenzie Gore, CJ Abrams, like dudes who are pro ready now, so it doesn't feel as bad, huh? No, okay, it's just
prospects.
pain.
It's all pipeline. They just keep saying pipeline. I don't know what that means.
What do you think about?
I think he could
have Gray. You think he can like put it together this year, or what's going on there?
If Josiah Gray
legend
can play, if Josiah Gray can play all 11 positions, then we're good.
Yeah, there are 11 now. There might be 14 positions now, I think, at baseball. Just to speed up the game, they needed more positions. So, I mean, but here's my question about, because the Nats won in 2019, and they tore it down as fast as you possibly could and said, okay, we won that time. Now we're going to tear it down, and we're going to build it back up in the same kind of way. It's like the insta-tank. Is that a better way to do it than this kind of like slow thread the needle thing, when you might just in 5 years just have a bunch of like future Hall of Famers coming up at the same time, but due to the trades having such a plethora of talent in the pipeline, or because we watched it with the Cubs and it was like this slow tear down that was painful and hurt us, and they thought they had a window, they didn't, and it was just wrong the way they handled it all in hindsight. And then, so that's the Cubs way, the slow way. And then there's the Reds and the Pirates, who kind of are doing a sort of same thing and just like, oh, we're just going to suck for a long time and maybe, it doesn't matter. We'll just get our money anyway. These suckers will show up anyway because, I don't know. Like, what's the better way to do it? Zach, you got an opinion on like –
I mean, I think it comes down to that old concept of, is it better to burn out or fade away? And I think it'd be nice to have like that one glorious burnout season. Like I'm somebody who I've lived in Pittsburgh all my adult life, but I grew up in central Pennsylvania. And my dad's side of the family is from Philly. So I grew up a Phillies fan. And so I'm used to those things of like, all right, we're horrible. We have a great year. We're horrible. And so it gives you like that little thing of like last year's Phillies team. I saw this great meme. It was like last year's Phillies team is the baseball equivalent of that sign can't stop me because I can't read sign.
I love that.
And I think it's one of those things where, with the Pirates, like we don't even have we don't even have like a TV station right now. I don't know if anybody else had that happen to them with all the AT&T.
We unfortunately have a TV station. That's where we're at.
Hasn't done us very much good, but yeah. I miss WGN so much.
It's one of those things where it's always talking if you're a Pirates fan, it's always about the future. In 2 or 3 years, we're going to have a good group. In 2 or 3 years, we're going to have a good group. And when that repeats for 8 years, it just kind of gets to be like, all right, I'm thankful that I love baseball just as a pure concept.
Yeah. And so, yeah, Bill, you're in the same kind of boat. In some
So
ways.
with the Reds rebuild, we have to look at the timeline, and it all started in 2019 when they jump started and made some moves, dumped the Homer Bailey contract, and brought in Sonny Gray and brought those guys in. And then 2019, they brought in that guy who's now pitching in Japan, in Bauer. And the move was to go for it in 2020. They signed Castellanos, Moustakas, Smiley, Shogo Akiyama, the most they'd ever spent in free agency, period, giving 2 of the largest contracts by AAV in Reds history. Okay. Then the pandemic happened, and the Reds, sadly, 65% of their revenue comes from people in the stands. So they went for it. And sadly, the pandemic said, fuck off. The Reds aren't doing that in 2020, and took a massive hit. And so did the rest of the Central. That's why they aren't trying, is because did you know that the bottom 8 TV deals are like everyone but the Cubs? It's crazy. So with all that revenue, and then not sharing revenue in 2020, and then them not sharing revenue again in 21, it fucked the entire middle of the country for baseball. So before we go out and we say oh, they're not trying. Well, they aren't making as much as you fucking think in the middle of the country compared to your juggernauts like the Mets and the Dodgers, who the Dodgers are making enough money that they're going to go buy the Washington Commanders. You know what I mean?
Billy, you are feeding right into Eric's small town BS, where he's like, it's all about payroll. No, but payroll hits per dollar.
So, but the difference,
I'm with you, Johnny, that's some bullshit right there. Look, I get it that the fucking Reds don't make what the Cubs make, but there's
not even close.
There's not an owner out there that lost money.
Yeah.
Yep.
One.
Revenue sharing means us buying shit pays your payroll anyway. The Pirates' payroll hasn't been higher than their revenue sharing in over a decade. They're not even paying their own salaries.
Billionaire math is
so bad.
We thought we were going to make $9 billion, and we only made $8 billion. That means we lost $1 billion. No, it doesn't, you fucking asshole. You made $8 billion. That's the fucking math that they tell people all the time. It's a lie.
Guys, I don't want to get grouped into this right now. The Brewers, we don't spend a ton of money, but we're 19th. We're right at the league average. The Cubs are at 13. So we're doing more with our money than you motherfuckers are, to be honest.
Yeah, the Cubs are a bad, not a good franchise.
Mad at how much I agree with what the Brewers are doing. Don't even.
But to go in this whole thing and and what Billy was saying, it's like Bally Sports is our channel that airs our games, and they just declared bankruptcy. It was FS1 before that. They weren't making any money, so the money definitely isn't there. And we're talking about, would you rather be a bad team than have one championship year, or be the Cubs and slowly fade out? I think the Brewers are the staple of consistency throughout, of being good enough but not breaking through. We're the good enough gang. We just ride every year, and somehow we find a way to finish 10 games over 500, which somehow wins the division or gets us in that wild card game. We make a run, but we don't make those big splashes that put us over the top. And I would agree. I'm in the Cubs shoes.
That sounds like the worst series of dates ever.
Oh, it's fun watching them choke every year.
We saw it with, we got rid of Hader last year because he was having a little bit of downtime, 2-year contract. We traded him for absolutely nothing. It destroyed the team. The way we treated Lorenzo Cain on the way out, it was terrible. Yep. And we had to overpay for these veterans, which I think you could agree with, Zach. You have to overpay to get people to stay with the Pirates, or veterans to come to the Pirates, or you have to extend guys early on. We've tried, and we made those splashes. We did it with Christian Yelich. Now he's underperforming. My big thing is our window's closing, and this is the opening thing I was saying, is Woodruff, 2 years left. Willie Adames, 2 years left. Corbin Burns, 2 years left. And we did nothing. We did the same exact thing the Brewers always do. We go get a Luke Voigt. We go get a Jesse Winker. We get these rebuild projects and hope they overachieve of what they did in the couple of years past. And it's annoying because we've proven the Bucks can win in this small market if you put the money into the team, and the Brewers are refusing to do it. I'm sick of being good enough. It's like, how do you feel as Cubs fans? It's like you wanted 3 championships, but you're in this good enough stage, and you're going to be here for a while. And it's
I'm curious about it.
And it's a fun place when you came from stinking until being good enough. But at a point, you're like, I want to break through, and I want to be great. And it's a long way from when I started being on this podcast of just being a crappy team to being like, we're too consistent. Let's win.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also, like, what do you have that you can build around to say when you move Adames? Something like, I mean, I'm trying to think about who you have shortstop wise in the pipeline or second base, like something where if there is even a roadblock to be like, this is even worth it to maintain consistency.
We have a great guy. It's Jackson Trio. He's number 8 prospect in the MLB pipeline, and he tore it up in his little bit of spring training. People love him right now, and we're going to see him this year. The Brewers somehow did well rebuilding that prospect pipeline, and I think we moved up to like number 12 in MLB. We're like low 20s before that. And the great thing about the Brewers, we have a pitching staff. We have a former Cy Young. We have a Woodruff who's going to be healthy this year. And we got guys that could step in. It's just this back end of the bullpen that we didn't pay for that would put us over the top. It wasn't that big bat, that big splash. Yeah, that would put us over the top.
Right.
And this is the year. If we're going to do it, this is the year. But we didn't spend the money to do it.
I know what you're feeling like, because, I mean, after the Cubs won and they didn't add anything to the team for 2-3 years in a row, you realize that they were just going to coast this out. This wasn't going to be something they were going to build upon and keep adding and keep making, dynasty coming. It wasn't going to be a Houston or a Dodgers try or something like that. And that was a very frustrating feeling. And then we just faded slowly since then.
Yeah, so I guess that's the answer. Is like it's better to burn out than fade away. It kind of feels like it's better to like go the Washington Nationals and like literally turn your stadium into a Walgreens and then come back out, and clear out the Prilosec aisle and
But you go to a guy like Zach, who was like the Brewers forever, and you go, if you could have a consistent team like the Brewers have been for the last 6-7 years, you take that in a second. But after 6-7 years, you're like, I want more.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Why can't the Pirates or the Reds be the Brewers? Like, what are they doing that's better? Is it
because we're just better people? I mean, it's
there's that.
Well, the problem is that we're all being cucked by the Rays. Yeah. Everybody in the Central is seeing like they're like, look at the Rays, they're just consistent, and then they're like, look, they're winning like 89 to 96 games a year. They're doing it with nothing
to do it somehow.
Right. And now they're like, wait a minute, why don't we all try it at the same fucking time? Why don't we all kind of try at the same time and try to scoop up every prospect to keep it as cheap as possible while maintaining a consistency? Nick Krall even came out and he said, we want to eliminate peaks and valleys. Well, you kind of want a peak. What's the point of hiking up the top of a mountain if you don't get to see the rest of Earth's titties? You know what I mean?
Part of cuckolding is you peak and then you say stop and then you peak again. And then eventually you explode and then it's a huge orgasm for everybody.
I'd rather be pegged than cucked. I'll tell you that, because at least I'm a part of it.
One thing you are definitely getting pegged. The Reds are giving it to you.
One thing we can be sure of is that it's a fight uphill for all of our teams this year in the NL Central, and nobody's picking any of us to win at the division. And it would be fun if one of us did, and it wasn't the Cardinals, because I will say this much: anybody but the Cardinals, and I think we can all agree with that. So yeah, screw them. So I want to point out that Billy has a T-shirt company, and they actually make different shirts for all the teams. And this is some of my favorites that he's got going on. These are on sale. They have the "We Need More Cups" shirt. This is from In the Clutch. Is the website, intheclutch.com. There's also a Fly the W flag that instead of just the W, it says the W stands for waffles, which is it's a kind of an old Ian Happ joke. So fly the
I missed
waffle.
Waffle Maker season. That was great stuff.
I
That was
love these.
2019, wasn't it? Everybody was
Typical
mailing-
Cubs living in the
mailing
past.
Ian Happ waffle makers.
That's us. And then we have, of course, the right field and left field Sox. And one of my favorites is the stack or die. I think I came up with this idea for this one, which is the.
I was just gonna say, Danny, that's my favorite one. It's like
That's awesome.
Benjamin Franklin cup snake reference. That's wonderful.
Yeah, stack or die. It's fight or die is the original one, I think, right?
Join or die.
Join or die.
Yeah.
Join or die. Yeah. And so, I love that one. And it's just the snake, instead of, being all the states cut up, it's a cup snake dripping dip spit and backwash. And then my personal favorite is this one that I know we came up with late in the year, which is the fly the W, which is just for the podcast listeners, Clark is flying the W, if you know what I mean. It's the famous cartoon Clark that they accidentally showed on the news years ago when they unleashed Clark, and Clark was unleashing something else at the time. And I don't know if you can really wear this to the ballpark or anywhere, actually,
or anywhere, right?
So I met Clark for the first time when I went to Sloan Park a couple weeks ago, and I was just walking next to him, and I was just like, "Man, I know you got a huge dick, dude." He looked at me with his, "Oh yeah, shower, not much of a grower."
No.
And if you shop and buy any of these at intheclutch.com, if you use promo code SONRANTO, SONRANTO, it's 10% off your shirt. So
that's right.
Not too shabby.
No, and then I think we're gonna have some more Cubs stuff coming out soon. Danny and I are gonna hop knob and figure it out.
Yeah, and we're gonna come up with some great stuff, and we're gonna sell it to you, and hopefully you'll buy it.
Yeah.
I want everybody to plug what they're doing real quick.
Okay, I'm going to go first, Danny. I'm going to
go ahead. What are you doing?
He's like, I want out of here as fast as possible.
We're only 5 episodes in, but the standard thing, wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Stitcher, Odyssey. I'm doing a podcast that's a fan podcast of Crowley's Fly the W podcast, and so it's called Fly on the Wall, and we just kind of break down the Fly the W podcast after he does it. So usually comes out on Thursday. So again, check that out wherever you get your podcast, and use a promo code.
Damn it, you stole my idea. I was going to be my side project. Talking about Crawley show. Zach, what do you got going on? You're at ZFunkYeah on Twitter, I guess.
Yeah, that's my Twitter and Instagram. Like I said, in 2019, I recorded a stand-up album called Brains Are Weird. You can find that on Spotify, all the other online places, and the first 2 tracks are about the Pirates. Because, it's Pittsburgh, you got to do that. Otherwise, I am the co-host of a YouTube channel called Is It Worth a Sandwich? Where my old college roommate and current roommate, because life is secular when you're creatively broken, we will play a video game, eat a sandwich, then tell you which is the better experience. Because that was our old broke college student metric of like, all right, I can eat dinner, or I can spend $10 on a used PS2 game.
Sure,
that is good math.
So
I'm sorry, I've been extremely broke. That is good math.
Yeah, so we'll do that. We do a lot of retro gaming. We recently played through Sonic Spinball, the broken mess that is.
Right.
And then we also make original nerdy themed cocktails based on like different TV shows and movies and things that we like.
Example, please.
Okay, so let's see here. Did you ever watch Gravity Falls?
Yep.
No, try again.
Okay.
I have children. I've watched that show.
Yeah. So like we did one for Gravity Falls where like there's this one character who's kind of this like con artist that runs a tourist trap.
Okay.
So the idea for him was to make a old fashioned as cheaply as possible that was still good.
I'm here for that.
And it was called a new fashioned. One of the ingredients is literally just a shot of water, like tap water, straight up tap water.
That's what you do.
You gotta get the people to, or we've done original cocktails for like Universal movie monsters, Marvel characters, Pokemon, The Mandalorian, different Star Wars stuff. Just we're both big nerds that work at different Pittsburgh distilleries, so we like playing around and just see what we come up with as part of that.
I love it. DM me your Bulbasaur recipe.
Well, we're definitely next time you come on and we talk Pirates Cubs before one of the series is we're gonna all drink one of your famous cocktails. How about that?
Great, yeah.
But not the one with the shot of water. Let's get something with some.
No,
booze in it.
no.
This is Chicago, man. We don't play that
No.
shit. You know what I mean?
For the
and Eric, if he's on that show, yeah.
But that's only because
Yeah,
Chicago
the
water
Bulbasaur
is so
one.
bad.
Since we had the Bulbasaur, we didn't have a Bulbasaur. I think we had an Ivysaur for one. But my favorite Pokemon one we did, because sometimes it's just like, hey, here's what's probably a really bad idea, but it'll be funny, was we did a Score Bunny that was Gatorade, Fireball, and then dropping a flaming bunny peep into it.
That sounds like our speed, actually. That we can do that one. Yeah.
Oh, I love millennial humor. Let's go.
I'll do that one. Billy, what do you got? What do you got to plug?
So I have a new podcast called The Wall from the Fly on the Wall. It's pretty cool. It's pretty great.
Are there any flaming bunnies?
No, it's mostly about primer and coats of primer. Yeah, you can check me out at William the Four, and then I think it's at Billy DeVore IV on TikTok. But the big thing I'm doing, besides the new Nasty Boys, which is every week where we just talk about what to look forward to, which was Skyline Nachos. I'm very excited. You can, I've been doing this thing called like Ballpark Frankenfoods. So basically I'm taking the Chick Rose on the road. So I did my first one when I went to the World Baseball Classic this year, and I took tacos and unloaded them onto a hot dog. And it was excellent.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
you can't go wrong. It's just like two street foods put together. It's like you would eat
Billy,
a taco and then a hot dog. So like, what's
These
the difference?
sound
You just put it
delicious.
together.
Billy, do you enjoy naming these things? Because the food is crazy, but I like your names. Is that part of it?
Yeah, so this one's
top
called
dog.
the Desert Dog. So the problem was Chase Field, not a lot of great amenities there, and they treated the World Baseball Classic like a ghost town. Half the places were closed, and it's like this fucker's sold out. And you're just gonna. I went up to like one of those coolers, and I went to grab a beer, and the guy went, "We're closed," and I was like, "It's the top of the second." He was like, "Yeah, we're closed."
Billy's like, I just got here.
Yeah.
Billy, this
Oh,
sounds
last
like a
ball's
cool-
the anthem, asshole.
Eric, what are you plugging right now? You got any shows coming up?
Yeah, I got it. Well, actually, I have a new podcast coming out. It's called Insulation. It's the wrap-up show to The Wall, and
sounds riveting.
It is. We all eat insulation on the show, and then we kind of just trip
what I
balls,
imagine Doris
and
fans
we
do
see what happens. So, you know my hatred for Crawley, so we had to do 3 shows after the actual one.
Understandable.
You know,
it all sounds like just like fill your podcast feed with all Crawley derivative shows.
Yeah.
And I'm sure nothing, no way to get through a baseball season like that.
You have entered the Crawley verse.
Yeah, the Crawley space.
Well,
we should
I
make
will-
we should just make a Crawley drink.
The
It's
Crawley
just
space.
the Crawley space.
So,
Where the bodies
wait.
are kept.
But to be real, I do have a podcast that's coming up. I've been teaming up with the great people in Milwaukee at Drink Wisconsin. They have a great bar right across the street from the Pfizer Forum. We're starting a podcast. It's called the Drink Wisconsin Sports Cocktail. Thanks to Danny and hooking us up with StreamYard. We've been doing some test episodes, and they should start coming out next week. And it's pretty much just a quick 15, 20-minute weekly podcast about all thing Wisconsin sports. So we'll be doing that. And then I'll be back in May in Milwaukee doing a bunch of shows. So just check me out on my website, ericwheelo.com.
Awesome, man. Well, me and the Guy Serious are going to plug our Bleacher Bum Band show tomorrow. at Output Lounge right after the game. So if you're going to the game, or even if you're not going to the game, come over to Output Lounge at probably about, let's see, the games are so fast now, probably about 3:00, maybe we'll be going, something like that.
Yeah, we don't
That
know
should
yet.
be
Yeah.
hour and a half to play. Then the band goes, something like that. But thank you guys all for coming on. We're going to take just one more quick break. This is a break with just our QR codes on it. And we would love it if you gave us some money. Tonight, all the money that we will raise will go to Heather Lannington Noble. If you want to give some money through either a PayPal or Facebook, we'll make sure that we get that, and we'll give it from the Ranters. She's battling right now breast cancer, and we want to just give her all the support we can. So thanks, guys, for coming on. We'll definitely do this again soon. Happy opening day, everybody. And we'll be right back with Sarah Sanchez and Greg Huss, who have been waiting very patiently in the this isn't their first rodeo. They know that we always go on. So they're like, I'll be sitting there for an hour, and then maybe I'll come on for like 25 minutes or maybe an hour. Who knows?
They heard Wheelo has a 20-minute podcast, and they're like, "What the fuck?
What the fuck is that?"
I learned my lesson on this one. So
Four people with ADD in a room. What do you think's gonna happen?
We're basically kind of like a Bruce Springsteen show up in here. You know what I mean?
The only clock is the bitch clock.
Exactly.
I have no idea what
I guarantee you the Son Ranto show tonight will be longer than the game tomorrow. No doubt about that.
This stops when curfew goes into effect, basically.
Exactly. So we'll be right back. Hit our QRs up, and thanks, guys. We'll do it again soon.
Thank you.
Go Brewers.
It's the time in the Son Ranto Show where you can show your love for wasting another perfect night just talking about the Cubs. And if you thought that we were entertaining, smart and funny, then scan these QR codes right now and give us all your money. Because here in the USA, we won't do shit unless we get paid. Won't you support Son Ranto today? Please scan the codes for Son Ranto. Give all your dough to Son Ranto.
Welcome back to the Son Ranto Show. We are here live with From the Cubs on Deck podcast, Greg Huss, and from Cup of Cubby Blue and Bleed Cubby Blue, Sarah Sanchez, joining us remotely from where are you, Sarah?
I'm in Dallas for work.
Okay. Do you know that Michael Cantor's also in Dallas for work?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I'm staying one extra day so I can go to a baseball game at the big box store that the Rangers play in and check that off my stadium list. So maybe I'll see if Michael's around and if he wants to check out some baseball.
Sarah, I'm going to tell you to stay away from Michael Cantor. He is angry about Wilson Contreras. You two just won't. It won't be good.
There's nothing to be angry about. We're cheering for Wilson Contreras. That's all it is.
Hey, you and I on that page.
No, we had the same thought, but Michael Cantor does not have that.
Well, Michael Cantor might be dead to me then.
Yeah, he just may be. So, and Greg Huss, Cubs on Deck, formerly it was the Growing Cubs podcast.
It was Growing Cubs, yeah. And me and Brian and Greg Zumak are hosting Cubs on Deck.
Yeah, so you got basically an all-star team of prospect perverts, which is what we call you on
Just
this
a whole
show.
Bunch of big old nerds. Basically what it is.
Who like watch all these like teenagers trying to make the major leagues, trying to figure it out, and it really is like it filled a void, I think, for people like us who are in Chicago who want to know a lot about what is in the pipeline, but don't necessarily have the time to like keep up on the organizational depth chart and every single person that might be coming up. And you guys focus on that. And then we steal all your material and put it on our shows. It's freaking awesome. And I just want to thank you for that, Greg.
I mean, in an ideal world, right, is that you guys don't need us anymore because the Cubs big league team is good again, and we are no longer needed in any way, shape, or form. That's the ideal world.
That nobody cares about the minors because there's nobody down there.
Yeah,
Exactly.
in an ideal world, but unfortunately, you know,
We're
Mervis
Cubs
is
fans.
still in Iowa, and PCA is in. Is he still in
BFE,
in
Tennessee,
South
yeah.
Bend? No, or he's going to Tennessee. I don't know.
He'll be in Tennessee.
Tennessee, I
He'll be in
think.
AAA.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
So
Sarah and I talked about this on the show because I think we talked about this also at the beginning of this show 17 years ago with Michael Cerami and Luis Medina, which is the idea of kind of how this roster is constructed, who had to go to Iowa, like your Christopher Morel, who has just the most amazing tools of one of the higher ceilings of some of these players. And instead, Nick Madrigal gets to be on the big league team without his power, without a lot of defensive flexibility like Christopher Morel has. And, Sarah, I guess I'll ask you first, that kind of like the two legs, one in and out of the minors and the majors for some of these guys. Like, do you feel like the way the Cubs constructed their roster was the correct way to do it for like the long term, if you were just going to say like screw this year, or maybe you're not saying screw this year?
So this is what's confusing to me about how the Cubs have constructed their roster. I think that you can do a 26-man roster that is trying to win now. You can do a 26-man roster that recognizes you're not going to win now, but you might win in the future, and you want to give your guys some shots. You can do a 26-man roster that is just punting, right? I don't think they're punting, but the thing that confuses me is this does not feel like a win now roster. It feels like there's a handful of guys on the 26-man that I'm just confused as to why they are there. Nick Madrigal, like trade bait, I guess. I don't quite understand. Like you're carrying Luis Torrens as your third catcher who's supposed to be an offensive threat, and I just find that laughable. I'm like, this is not an offensive threat catcher. Like Wilson Contreras is an offensive threat catcher. Like William Contreras, who the Brewers have, is an offensive threat. Alejandro Kirk, offensive threat. Sean Murphy, offensive threat. Luis Torrens is kind of like Nick Madrigal-esque. Well, he's
kind of like a 650 OPS or something.
But you get what I'm saying. Like he's a guy who strikes out 30% of the time and occasionally hits the ball over the wall.
He's a silly little guy. I like Luis Torrens.
You can like him.
He saved me from that 13-inning long game between the Mariners and the Yankees where I was stuck in the upper deck for 13 innings of zero-run baseball. He's great, but he's just a silly little guy.
On this team.
Exactly.
Like, I don't understand why you have Matt Mervis, who proved that he can hit as many home runs as anyone in the minor leagues last year in Iowa, and you have Eric Hosmer taking at bats in Chicago if you're trying to win. And I do understand a little bit why you would want Christopher Morel in AAA working on figuring out breaking and off-speed stuff if he's part of your future and he's 23 years old and super toolsy. Like, I do understand that. So this seems to me like a team that is trying to win next year, maybe the year after. And I don't know why they're trying to sell it as a team. Well, they're trying to sell it as a team who's trying to win now to sell tickets, but I just don't think that's
they're not doing a very good job of that.
Yeah, I mean, what's the difference between this year's roster construction and last year? It's the same thing. They went out and signed Dansby this year, and that was the big get. Last year, they went out and signed Marcus Stroman, it's just Seiya. Like, you go out and get two pieces, but like you still look at the roster, you're like, well, this ain't it. You know, it's the same thing as last year.
I was saying that earlier, Greg.
Yeah.
Thank you. When we were talking about how many home runs over under there'd be, and people are like, it's going to be under last year, and I'm like, I mean, sure, but last year, who was hitting home runs? How are we going under that?
It was Paul Wilson.
It's because we're the same damn team.
Well, let me put up. This is actually Brian Smith's organizational opening day roster projection.
Talk about a nerd.
Yeah, right. I'm like, look at all those names. Fabian Pertuz. Like, what am I even looking at? But it is interesting, kind of like how it's, and he was wrong about a couple. This was just a projection. Like he I don't think Mark Leiter or Rowan Wick made the team, or Ryan Barucki. I don't think any of them did.
I think Leiter is right. But
He is
Barucki
okay.
not. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Like what they went.
You don't
with.
know your last two spots of the bullpen, Danny. Come on, man.
Well, I didn't. I actually tried to figure it out before the show, and it was still all I could find was more speculation. And I was like, you know what? Now I can't tell the difference between news and speculation. So I'm like, I give up. I'm just going into the show. I got other things to do. But no, but you look at it, and I forget who made the joke on Twitter about having the best bullpen in the minor leagues in Iowa this year. And it really is. If you look at a lot of the arms, and I'm not sure who's going to be there exactly, but between that, like the development, like Morel, like some of these bullpen arms, you're looking at kind of guys that are like have 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And when you're looking at that kind of pipeline that we talked about with like the Washington Nationals and my friend Johnny, it's like, and you're watching this development over the time, like, are there some people that the way it's working out, are you liking how this is shaping up, Greg? Like, is the development working for you? Are you seeing it in a positive light, or are you like, I don't know, these guys have just high floors and not big like, where are you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm always on the side of like, if you trust your player development, which I think that the Cubs should have reason to, then you have like, you might as well like gun for quantity instead of like 2 quality like top 10 guys in all of baseball, right? If you're like creating that depth, whether it's like bullpen guys or hitters or whatever it might be, if you're creating that depth, then you have potential for some of these guys to really break out and become studs. But you also have that like the floor of like, yeah, they just make the major leagues and like they're a bench guy, they're in the back end of a lineup, something like that, So I think that like they've done a really good job of building that depth that you see, especially with the arms, because the Cubs have been really, really good in the bullpen, signing like veteran type guys like the Brad Boxbergers of the world, and like having a lot of success. The past 4 years or so now they've done that. And you're combining that now with some like prospect relievers and some prospect starters even that can come make an impact in Chicago. So like that's what makes like player development like damn good. We're not seeing it quite as much yet with like some of the hitters. Like that's still to be determined. But like the pitchers, like they got that kind of figured out to a certain degree.
The pitch lab.
The pitch lab.
If you will.
I get yelled at if I use that word, so I don't use that word anymore.
Well, I'll put this list of all the guys back up. Is there anybody on this list that we may have not heard of, or that even more than a casual fan, somebody that really does pay attention to the whole organization, but maybe is slipping through our cracks? I put that weird. Is there Sarah shaking her head? But is there? Hey, it's hour 3 of the show. Like I'm going to let some things slip. Is there anybody on this list that you see before you right now that maybe we're not paying attention to? That's not your Pete Crow Armstrongs that are getting all the hype that maybe we should be paying attention to.
Are we still talking bullpen or just players in general?
Anybody that's catching your eye, I think. From
Jordan Wogu. Jordan Wogu's catching my eye. I think that he's not with all the like you got PCA, you got Kevin Alcantara, you got Brennan Davis, you got all the other top prospect hitters in the outfield. Jordan Wogu hasn't really been mentioned quite as much, but the dude can rake. He's put together 2 really strong years. Got off to slow starts last year and the year before, but by the end of the year, he was like absolutely tearing up the level that he was at. So he'll be in Double-A Tennessee to start off the year more than likely. And the dude is like he is the strongest dude I've ever seen play in the Cubs system in my time following this. Like he was recruited to play football in college, and he looks like a tight end. He looks like a linebacker. He's crazy. But yeah, when he was drafted, it was like, oh, like this is a DH guy only. Like he's not going to be able to play the outfield. Like he's put together a pretty good defensive like highlight reel out in center field. Even I don't think he's a center fielder long term. Like he's probably more of a left fielder than anything. But the fact that he can play some left field defense, and he's got that like light tower power that he hasn't really broken into quite yet. I really dig Jordan Wogu a whole lot.
Yeah, he was just from a couple years ago draft, right? I mean,
he was a 2020 draft. Yeah, he was that really weird wonky draft. So he was drafted out of Michigan. But yeah, he was the 3rd round pick after the Cubs got Ed Howard and Burl Caraway.
Cool. And now, do you think that maybe because they know they have all these outfielders and I'll give this to Sarah too, that because they have all these outfielders that are in the system, we saw the quote unquote extension of Nico Horner, which only just gives you an extra year. That wasn't what we meant, everybody. But
it is technically an extension.
Technically, yeah, but it's not what we meant. But Ian Happ did not get this extension, and is it because he's just basically a corner outfielder, which he used to play some midfield and did some center field and stuff like that? But is it because that they just kind of see him as that one guy, that they're not going to need him, that they're going to do the youth movement, keep it cheap, not pay for somebody like Happ? Are you seeing this organizational outfield depth that I'm hearing? A lot of people are saying it.
I'll say that I don't think you don't extend Ian Happ because of whatever you have in the minor leagues. I hope that any front office has learned their lesson for that, right?
They have not learned that lesson.
Well,
no, I don't think they have at all.
I love Ian Happ. He's one of my favorite players, all that good stuff. But are we as confident that Ian Happ is going to put together a better year this year than last year? I'm more confident that he's going to have a worse year than last year or the years prior. I just don't see the extend Ian Happ. I'm not getting behind. I don't really see it. I don't get it. I don't understand.
I'd be for an Ian Happ extension in the event. Here's the world where I like an Ian Happ extension. Jed Hoyer has been out loud and talking about how much he loves what Ian Happ and Nico Horner bring to the team and their leadership, and he wants to build on that and everything else. And it was a whole theme at Cubs convention. And if that is true, if it is true that this is a guy you want to build your future around and that is the presence you want in the clubhouse, then you should do whatever it takes to keep that dude in Chicago. That said, I don't think that was true. I think that was Jed Hoyer saying some things that he knew we all wanted to hear, because everybody's like, yo, why haven't you extended anybody? And why did you trade all of our favorite players? And
I got a bit for that.
Reasonable question, mind you.
1 second. There is no incentive for Ian Happ to sign an extension right now. Yeah. Ian Happ is about to hit the free agent market, and he's going to get paid. I don't know what he's going to get. He's probably going to get at least as much as Wilson Contreras did. And the Cubs aren't going to offer him that because they have Owen Casey and Brennan Davis and Pete Crow Armstrong and Seiya Suzuki, and they don't need
Jordan Wogu
in that situation. And so the second they signed Trey Mancini, Ian Happ was as good as traded, and they should have traded him now, because all he can do is have his value go down if he starts the season slower than the campaign that he put up last year. So this front office mystifies me sometimes. And I don't know why they can't see the 3 moves out that they're supposed to make.
Well, I've got a little bit, drop that I'd like to play real quick. And it's a, That's it. That's I figure it's going to come in handy throughout the year as
you could really put that as Jed said shit, and it would work exactly the same.
Play it backwards, and the devil talks to you. So, no, I mean we're all hearing that we've got just a huge plethora of young talent that came from some of the Blue Friday trades that came from some of the white flag trades, i.e. the Yu Darvish trade, although I'm not hearing much about any of those guys.
I feel so bad for Owen Casey because he could be the best Owen Casey that he could possibly be, and he will never be the worst Yu Darvish.
Well, and he's the only one who looks like he might pan out from that entire trade where we threw in Victor Caratini for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when Wilson Contreras had to catch 140 games or something because the Cubs didn't have a backup catcher, and they went through 9 of them before they settled on Robinson Chirinos? That was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. It was fun for me personally, having a new backup catcher every 4 days. But
it's funny that Robinson Chirinos comes up. I saw on Twitter today Robinson Chirinos was cut by whoever he was trying out for, and I forget who it was, but they didn't want him. And so he went on Twitter and was like, I'm still good. I can still play. Somebody give me a job. And I'm like, I don't think this is how it works. I don't think that like
It very sometimes is though.
well, sure
Like,
for
I've
us, like
seen
I've
it
gotten
work.
jobs through Twitter, but I don't know if like major league catchers get jobs through Twitter. Maybe he can play for the Savannah Bananas.
When he's played that many years in the bigs, I feel like you have some video footage to show people.
Some agent secretary is following his account and was like, "Oh yeah, totally. We should call this guy."
So I know that Greg, you don't only follow the minor leagues. So in that you're actually a Cubs fan. You're not just a South Bend Cubs
Unfortunately, yeah.
fan.
Greg's over there like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Really?
I don't like
Where?
Chicago.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really like it
The
before
Chicago
the show.
Cubs.
Yeah. So, but I mean, where are you with like win totals on this year? Like, do you have a number in your head or?
No. I think that I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go 81. I'll just
That's where I was.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't
Team
know,
low
man.
80s. Let's go.
I can't see a scenario where they put together 85 wins. I think the roster is too talented for like only 75 wins, so it lands me at 81. I don't know. It's a normal, ordinary roster that can win some games and not
And
blow
lose
you
just
away.
as many.
Yeah, it's the worst place you want to be, right? Like it's that worst place. You're not getting better players in trades because like, all right, if Cody Bellinger doesn't perform well, then you're not going to trade him in the deadline. If he is performing well, then your team is probably doing better than you expect. And I just feel like it's a whole bunch of those type of dudes. Like they're out on trading. Like there's nobody. Who are they going to trade at the trade deadline if they're bad again? And how much are they going to piss off us fans if they do that again?
Well, I mean, we're
Not
already
much.
mad.
We're not
so-
really attached
yeah.
to anybody at this point.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, Ian Happ's the only guy. What do you have, Sarah? What's your number?
I think this is a 75 win team. I firmly believe what Zips is telling me, what Pacoda is telling me, what every projection system out there says about this team, that it is functionally the same win total team that they had last year. That is not to say they didn't get better. They got better than they were last season, but the schedule got harder. And so now that you have to play the Yankees a bunch of times and you have to play the Orioles a bunch of times, you have to play the Blue Jays a bunch of times, you no longer get that sort of like soft bottom of playing the Reds and the Pirates.
He said soft bottom.
I did it on
Hour
purpose,
three,
too.
hour
I
three, people.
knew that you would appreciate it. No, but they no longer have that like back end of the NL Central to beat up on anymore. So yes, it's a better team, and it's still a 75 win team.
See, I went 72. I am down.
Yeah, you're the low end of it.
Yeah, and you're the closest person that came to my number of anybody we've talked about. But I have been actually saying on Cubs Pod for the last like 3 days, this show is all about everybody talking about how the Cubs are going to win 80 plus games and they're going to have a chance and they're going to do all this stuff. And I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I just don't think I will be.
I just think the Cubs are surgically designed to win exactly 80 games.
Yeah.
So there's things working against them winning 80
Like,
games.
that's not a good thing. Like, if we're lucky, it'll be 80 games. I'm like, that's not lucky. That's still a shitty
Working
year.
against them.
Exactly.
So the
But, like,
first
that's
is that
what the goal is.
the schedule is still front loaded. So they have to play their hardest competition at the top, which means that this team needs to be good enough to put together a competitive record against the toughest part of their schedule to get to the trade deadline and not sell. And I don't think they are. So what ends up happening is you get to the trade deadline, you're 10 games back of the Brewers and the Cardinals. And let's say the following are all true, and the Cubs are still 10 games back of the Brewers and the Cardinals. Cody Bellinger has 15 home runs, and he doesn't look like a superstar, but he does look like a dude who could maybe help you. Ian Happ isn't the same dude he was last year, but he's still pretty good, and he could definitely help some other team. Marcus Stroman is putting together a pretty good season in what looks like, towards the end of his deal. He's got like a 3 point whatever ERA, and he's absolutely shoving. Brad Boxberger and Michael Fulmer have both proven that they can still be a back of the bullpen type of guy, and they could really help some contenders, and they don't have long-term deals with the Cubs. That is 5 dudes that you can flip when you're 10 games out for prospects, and we all know how much Jed Hoyer loves to do that. And the only one that anybody in Chicago is going to care about whatsoever is Ian Happ, and I will miss Ian Happ a bunch, and I will be very, very sad about that. I won't quite be as sad as I was about Wilson Contreras, but I will be very, very sad about that. And Jed Hoyer will be like, well, I tried, people. And you really didn't try. Like, trying would have been extending 2 guys from the core. Trying would have been not non-tendering Kyle Schwarber. Trying would have been getting real prospects for you, Darvish and Victor Caratini, instead of a handful of magic beans. Like, you didn't try. So I think this team is out of it at the All-Star break, and then I think they become a 75-win team because I don't think they have any of those dudes anymore after that. But I'll be excited to see Matt Mervis and Christopher Morel take it back.
Listen, go ahead.
I was going to say, and then I think you add into that their brutal early season schedule, and that's where I'm getting to 72.
Yeah, I can see that. I love Dansby Swanson. I'm excited to see him play for the Cubs. I think having Trey Mancini on this team is going to be terrific. And Cody Bellinger is a stud out in center field. But the fact that they're going to be batting in the middle of your order is not exactly comforting, I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't instill a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
Imagine this same like collection of names with Kyle Schwarber and Anthony Rizzo.
Must be nice. On the bright side, the Tennessee Smokies are going to be killer in the first half of the year this year. So
yeah, and Marquee knows what they're doing because they're now showing a bunch of those games. So
they're going to start showing those instead of Cubs games.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, I love that they're doing that too. I mean, because I cover the players and all that good stuff, but the Cubs affiliates have tremendous broadcasters, broadcasters. So the fact that we get to see them on the air on Marquee, just like it gets me so excited because
we're jealous up here in Chicago. You guys got the better broadcasters.
they're all terrific throughout the entire system. So I'm excited to see them on Marquee for those people that can watch Marquee.
I'm excited to see the minor leaguers too. I mean, there's a bunch of prospects who are super good. Pete Crow Armstrong made some catches this spring that I haven't seen a Cubs center fielder make in decades. That was tremendous. And to everyone who replied to my tweet about that with, you forgot Albert Almora Jr. I absolutely did not. Albert Almora Jr. was not a good defensive center fielder. He just dove a lot. He got terrible reads on balls and had to dive for them because it was the only way he had a shot at them. There's a difference between getting a good read and being a good center fielder and diving.
Okay, but
like see also Derek Sanderson Jeter.
Yeah.
In his defense, the curls were amazing.
That was probably my favorite part. That and the tag up and the curls. That was the best part of the entire thing.
Career highlights right there.
I'm gonna drop a couple links in the chat. The first one is for the Cubs on Deck podcast, and that's Greg's podcast. And you have to check it out because it's brand new. It's brand new, right? You just started last fall, right?
We just started this off season. So we've been going every other week during the off season, but now we've ramped it up to every week. I had honestly, if you guys want to go back and listen, the past month I had 4 different broadcasters on previewing the 4 affiliates. So I had Alex Cohen on previewing Iowa. I had Brendan King, who's actually the broadcaster for South Bend. I had him preview Tennessee because he had seen a lot of those players. And then I had Max Toma on for South Bend and Sam Wiederhaft on for Myrtle Beach. So I previewed all those affiliates. And this week we're going to start gearing up for actual Cubs minor league baseball. So I'll have Brian on. Brian Smith will be on with me every other week throughout the season. And then Zumac will be on with me sometimes. And the broadcasters will be on with me sometimes. So yeah, I'm excited to cover some actual. I mean, this new show, we've only been going in the off season, no actual baseball to cover. So I'm excited to actually have some minor league coverage.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to hear it. And you guys just do a great job. And thanks for covering it all because it's the way we get to learn about it. And then the other podcast link I'm going to drop is to our own podcast, which is we're teaming up with Sarah with the Son Ranto Show and Cup of Cubby Blue. And we're now the Bleacher Bunch. And so we're going to be throwing Cup of Cubby Blue and Son Ranto out through that, plus Cubs Pod, which is a daily show. Maybe we'll be throwing that out eventually, but Sarah's got a fantasy show that's going to be going out through there. What's that called?
The fantasy show is actually on a different channel. It's on the Fans
Okay.
First Sports Network fantasy feed. It's called What the Fab, a fantasy baseball show where there are no silly questions. And it really is leaning into the idea that, you listen to a bunch of fantasy baseball podcasts, you're going to get a ton of advice. You're going to hear some stats you've never heard of, and maybe you want to know what some of those things are. So I'm going to be talking to some of my friends who are some of the greatest minds in the fantasy industry to break down which projections you should use and why. What is the difference between an ATC projection and a Steamer projection? Why should you look at the RotoWire tools versus the tools you can get at FTN Fantasy? I mean, I've got a bunch of great conversations with some really cool people lined up, but be sure for that one, you're subscribed to the Fans First Sports Network fantasy feed. For the Bleacher Bunch, though, where Danny is talking about all of our Cub stuff, you can get Son Ranto, you can get Cup of Cubby Blue, you can get our daily stuff, you can get a Know Your Enemy segment that we're going to do about teams around the NL Central. We're going to have a ton of Cubs content for you. Also on Fans First Sports Network.
Plus Baseball Rabbit Hole. I think when Michael makes more of those, I think those will go out through there as well. So
I'm recording one this week.
Sweet. So yeah, so it's just like a one-stop shopping for all your Cubs content through the Bleacher Bunch Network. Check that out and leave us a review because it's brand new. And let people know what we're doing in your review, because it's weird how it works. The consolidation, they didn't let us do it the way we want to, so we need to just kind of start again, which is fine. Also, hashtag Chance in the chat. You can win a Frank Chance postcard sent to you by me tonight, and also be entered to win a prize later on this year, probably at the Christmas show. Also, we're giving away one of these. If you to a Patreon subscriber, we did get a brand new Patreon subscriber tonight while doing this show. Her name is Anne, and now she is eligible to win this shirt.
Also, if I can for just a second, I know I had mentioned previously that we might be doing some watch-along chats for midnight baseball games. Tonight is NPB opening day, so I'm planning on being in there during the Fighters game. If anybody's going to be up, it starts at 5:30 a.m. Eastern time. So, do the math for whatever area that you're living in, but 5:30 a.m. Eastern time, I'm going to be in the Discord chat for the Fighters game. And I'll, be able to show you where to find the game if you don't know where to find it.
Dun, dun, dun. So, well, thank you, Greg. And Sarah, I know you said you have to leave early. I have an awesome season. I know Sarah and I will be talking about it the entire time. Have a great season. Happy opening day, everybody. And we'll be back doing this again soon. I'm sure with you, Greg, because it's the only way I find out about the prospects.
Sounds good, guys.
All
Thanks,
right,
everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, take it easy, Greg.
All right, so let's pinch off this episode with a I don't know exactly how. Oh, I know, some contest winners. How about that?
We got to pick some winners.
Yeah, so the first one I think we should pick is the we've got two to do. We've got the t-shirt to give away, and we've got the Wilson Contreras the artwork, which I will show one final time before it's out of my grubby hands and in an envelope and on the way to your house. To the winner. Well, which one should we do first?
Chance.
The Chance. Okay, why not? Let's do it out of
because we have a very
we
high
always
probability
forget it.
of forgetting.
Exactly. It's really better that we do it now. So let's pick a chance winner. It's your last chance to get in the chance. Hashtag Chance in the chat if you want to win the Frank Chance. Here we go. Can you guys see the screen?
Oh, you have to put it up on the screen.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. It's a new way you can do it now.
And if
There
the
we
same person wins all three of these, I'll send you $50.
Oh, Michael didn't have to do that. Here we
I'll
go.
just throw in $50 if you hit the parlay.
Oh, Allison's in there too.
Hey, man, that's a cool shirt.
And the winner is Anthony Hutflis. Congratulations. He's also a Patreon supporter, so he could actually win these next two prizes. So now I've got to remove that. So congratulations on the Chance. I think he's won before. I'm positive I have sent him a message of love and doom. And then Okay, so the next one I've got to share is doesn't want me to let me do two things. All right, try it
the
again.
Wilson Contreras one, because I'm really hoping whoever wins is in the chat and they're just going to be angry.
So, all right. So I got to share this now, right? There we go. And so this is from our Patreon feed. I'm going to make sure that there's nobody else subscribed to the Patreon. This is your last chance to get in. Now it's just Ann got in there. So thank you, Ann, for becoming a Patreon subscriber. We now have 114. So that's
Nice.
awesome.
Loving it.
Yeah. It's perfect time to subscribe because you could win. Here we go. Let's give it a spin. Let's see who wins. This is for the Wilson Contreras.
Let's go.
And the winner is Joaquin Armstrong. Congratulations,
Holy cow.
Joaquin.
Good job, bro.
I am sorry to Anthony and Joaquin. Neither one of you gets $50.
Nope. So we're going to give it one more spin, and this is for the final prize of the night, which is the T-shirt. The opening day is a holiday shirt. We got one more to give away. Congratulations to Molly and Joaquin. You guys both won. And here we go.
I'm really glad that I didn't have to give anybody $50. So.
I know that would have sucked. You're like, what
I
did you do
kind
tonight?
of got nervous about that.
The winner is Brian. We got to figure out who Brian is.
No last name, just Brian, like
just Brian.
Madonna
I
or
will
Prince.
I will figure it out. I don't think we have that many Brians in, or that just go by Brian, possibly in our Patreon. So anyway, this show is obviously much longer than the game will be tomorrow.
Like
I mean,
2 of the games tomorrow.
yeah, this is a double header that we got going on here tonight, and it's freaking hilarious. So I don't know. I mean, I'm just excited to have real baseball played. You know, like
I'm still trying to get over. I had this thought earlier. I could not imagine sitting in the living room with my grandfather trying to explain to him that the National League has a designated hitter and that you don't have to throw a ball to get a strikeout anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of strange.
Old people are dumb. You're right. They're fucking idiots.
So stupid.
It would drive me insane to sit in a room with an old person and try and explain baseball to them.
Well, I'm going to try. I already told there's a Polish director coming to my theater this summer, and he's directing a play that I'm working on the music with, and I'm going to bring him to a baseball game and try to explain it to him. And I thought to myself, I'm like, I could just make up any crazy rules and tell him this is how it goes, because that's what
the bases are called pillows now.
Exactly. And we call them the pizza boxes now, I do have one TFC, and I forgot to upload it, but I will show you the screenshot here on my phone.
Okay.
You can kind of see my ring light there, but can you? Oh, it's all backwards, isn't it?
There we go.
Yeah.
Do you have a job? You degenerate. You get a life.
Yeah. This is from JH12765. Do you have a job? You degenerate. Get a life. This was a DM that somebody decided to send me today. In fact,
DM.
Yeah. DM.
I have fantastic news. I do have a job.
Congratulations.
I got one. That's why I was late today. I was on my way back from a job interview.
Good.
And I was not late, which just means I'm underemployed. So, I was here all day coming up with talking to the guests of this show. And I do want to thank everybody that came on the show. We had a lot of fun. It was just everybody again, 3.5 hours of just pure unadulterated Cubs content. And we're going to keep going with it tomorrow. With the Bleacher Bum Band, and I don't know. I'm looking forward to this year. I know I know we're all gonna burn out, and it's gonna be a long ass season, and it'll be ups and downs. But today, none of it has happened yet, and I'm just excited. The last thing I want to point out before we go is Heather, our friend Heather. She's battling cancer. Please give her money. I think that's the most important thing. She's not going to be able to work as much as she once did. Send her the things that she's looking for from her gift list. If you have any extra money, please give her. I mean, it all adds up. If 20 people give her $20, could somebody do the math?
Yeah, no, I mean
$4,000.
Heather is a really big
4,000.
presence in baseball Twitter. She is a huge positive force. Anybody who knows Orioles fans are long suffering at the best, and she's the cream of the crop among them. She's a really close friend of mine, and she's going through a really hard time right now. The job that she has doesn't give her paid time off, and she's going to have to take a lot of time off to heal and get better. So if it's possible, if you can find it in your heart to donate to her, she has a good group of friends who have put together some resources. We've got the links here in the comments. Take a look. If you can, please donate. If you can't, that's fine. Also share if you can, and maybe get that word out and help our friend heal comfortably so she can go back to the ballpark again.
Yeah. I gave her $20 today. So if everybody did that, then she would have enough to at least get through parts of this, pay some bills, pay some rent, get some food, order in and not cook, just the things that she's going to need. So let's just all be supportive about all that stuff. And, it's just something bad she's going through. Anyway, I had a lot of fun tonight, but I'm tired. I'm tired now. 3.5 hours. It's the lamest of Cubs podcasts. I had a good time. Am I missing anything? At this point, I think
I'll see y'all in the Discord at like 4:30 in the morning if you're up.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think we're gonna do a post show tonight.
No,
for the.
I'm gonna go to bed, and I'm gonna see y'all for Japanese baseball at 4:30.
Yeah, but honestly, if you guys want to do a post show, go right the hell ahead. No, not you guys. Like everybody else. Like,
Open chat. Go for it.
Yeah. Discord's there for you. I know what I wanted to say. This guy the Blake Beard sponsored this podcast.
Yeah.
And if you go to Twitter to @the Blake Beard, you can negotiate some tickets with that guy to go to the Cubs games, and we've heard that they are good tickets.
Yeah, it's right down front. The box seat's not all the way down front, but it's section 111, row 15, under the cover and on the aisle.
Yeah, that's great. So, if you're looking for tickets, hit up this guy @the Blake Beard, who sponsored this show. And you guys can sponsor a show too if you have things that you want to sell, like
anything.
Dishes.
Like I will literally sell anything you have to sell. I don't even care if it's illegal. I will help you sell it. So Bertie says good night in Spagog. Guy serious.
Everybody's calling us to go the fuck home.
Yeah, like good night, go.
Please log off so we can go to bed.
Right? Can I just sleep like this and then we stay on the show and have a sleepover?
I think that was last week's post show.
Oh God. Oh yeah, because I never think I don't think I ever logged off, did I? Yeah.
I don't think you ever did.
No.
I just
got drunk and left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No,
Total
the whiskey
Irish
kicked in.
goodbye. It was great.
Yeah. Whoops.
All right. Good night, Spagog.
All right.
I'm going to bed.
Spagog. Good night. Happy opening day, everybody.
Happy opening day.
I'm coming back to Wrigley with a ticket in my hands. No ring upon my finger because I am just a fan. And I spent most of my money on sausages and beer. But I was there when they won it that year. A pressured anticipation had the city tightly wrought with a 5-3 combination as the sailing ball was caught. Half a dozen generations who would live to see the day the Cubs would take the season all the way. Now we're coming back to Wrigley. We're coming back to Wrigley, where the ivy will start growing and the April winds are blowing in today.